I'm gonna make myself a cup of Good Morning America. You all want some? It's the best damn coffee you're gonna get anywhere, buddy.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Hello, everyone. We are back. It is Coffee with Curmudgeons on Monday, October 23rd, in the year of our Lord, 2017. I don't know why people say that. Anno Domini. Oh, no. Okay. So we're back. It's been wild. I'm here with Jason Allen. Yeah, we'll just call him Jason.
It's been a couple weeks. Am I here? Are we not here? We don't know. This could be a recording. No, we're live. Hello, everybody. It is Monday.
Are we not men?
No, we are Devo. That's
yes.
right. Oh, we need the flower pot hats.
You got a
Oh, yeah, flower pot.
Yeah. That's again, I've said this a million times.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube, in the search, put Devo Merv Griffin, all the flower pot hat action you'll ever want to see live on a Merv Griffin show.
Merv.
Yeah.
I bet you Merv had no idea that was showing up that week.
He was a fan. He loved the guys. He loved the guys from Akron.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and you got to give him credit. I mean, that guy,
Merv.
look, this guy, they still don't know what he was worth.
Oh, Merv? Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's well, we just found some money over here and some money over here and extra money here. Because he invented Jeopardy, right?
Yeah.
Was it? And Wheel of Fortune.
Yep.
And his own talk show. This guy is a mogul.
Yeah, he had his hands in a lot of pies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
hard work.
you know what I loved about Merv the most, though? I loved his...
Laugh.
That and his Vegas swagger.
Yeah.
He was always just kind of, even on the area, I mean, he wasn't like Phil Donahue, you know, all touchy-feely. He was just kind of like the laid-back, you know, hey, you know, I partied this weekend with Sammy Davis Jr. out at the Star, you know, the Stardust. So, I'm here, we're talking. Devo, bring him on. It's cool, you know. Flower pots, awesome.
Yeah. That's what it was like at that point where I was just fixing your camera. At that point that see, because everything's messed up. But that point where he was like doing that show in syndication, and it would be like live from Las Vegas on the Strip. It's Merv Griffin Show, starring Jaja Gabor, Sammy Davis Jr., and special musical guest Devo.
Yeah, the guy's gonna have that bubble voice too.
Yeah.
Like, live from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah.
It's Merv.
Glitter by Liberace and Rip Taylor.
With, what's that one girl in Lamb Chop? With Sherry and Lamb Chop.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, with what was her name?
Sherry something.
Sherry something.
Sherry
Lamb
something.
Chop.
Lamb Chop.
Yeah. Of course, I'm not Lamb Chop. No, I was a Kukla friend and Ollie man myself.
Of course.
There's a reference. See, the beauty of this?
Yeah.
You got to Wikipedia half the stuff we come up with.
That's right.
Because you're just like, what's that?
Welcome,
Kukla friend and Ollie? What is
right. Welcome to Pop Culture Lightning Round. You know?
Welcome, Pop Culture 1950s. Live from Las Vegas with Jaja Gabor, Louis Belson, and Pearl Bailey in the band. And, oh, jeez.
With Steve Lawrence.
You know. Yes.
I was like, wow, this is a great show. I would watch that show, actually.
Joey Bishop.
Joey Bishop. God. So, Joe, you're looking good.
And Bob Hope.
Yeah. And they always do the one with really high voice, and then they come in under with the undertone, and Bob Newhart. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, okay.
Oh,
cool.
Wow. I think that'll be our new intro for Coffee with Curmudgeons.
That's the best cup of Good Morning America. You know. Right. With Doc.
Here's Doc and Jason now. Coffee with Curmudgeons live from a dirty basement in Southeast Portland.
Dirty basement.
We wish it was Vegas, but it's not.
Live from the ground floor lobby.
Well, or as I call it, live from Jamie Gum's basement live from the Tooth Fairy's basement in Southeast Portland.
We need to toss that in just to see if anyone will get it, like executive producer Jamie Gum.
Yeah. yes.
You know, they're like, what?
No.
Put the basket, put the lotion in the basket.
Oh, dear Lord. That moment. Uh-oh.
What?
I don't know. The rings are going. The rings are turning around on Alexa.
Oh. Alexa.
Anyway, that was weird.
How are you this morning?
I'm great. I hope you are too.
Thank you. All right.
I hope you are too. Don't ask me again.
And then she's like,
Stop asking me questions.
Yeah, stop doing Murph. Oh.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Yeah. So Yeah. All right.
Yep, we're here. Back after a busy couple of weeks. Doc,
Yes.
You're all over the place. You're jet setting.
Yeah.
You're out there living the life.
Yeah. Sure.
You know?
Yeah. I am. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it was like.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. It was a combination of stuff, doing things, events, lots of like I said, all piled up into one. Like, hey, everybody, let's choose these dates to do stuff right now. This week right here would be great. Let's just run here. But everything was successful.
Everything pulled off.
Everything was great. Things got streamed. There was a concert that was on the Facebook with a guy who's kind of famous and stuff. Anyway, so all of that happened. And then I came back and, we were going to do a show. We were ready to do a show. And then what happened?
Well, you were a little wiped, you know?
Well, no.
Also, the kid got sick.
We were going to do a show. That happened. But then we were going to do a show and we had a guest booked, a timely guest.
Oh,
and
yes,
you had car troubles or something, right?
Yeah.
So the car's working now, okay?
It is, yeah. And the funny thing is, I'm sitting there and I'm bemoaning the fact, because, you know me, I always I take something and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to go into the wall bad. You know, everything's going to be crap. Yeah. And then literally timely, I get a phone call. Hey, this is, you bought a car, about a year ago. We're just wondering how's it going. Hey, you want to come in? We could, I'm like, really?
It was like literally like
timely.
that.
Yeah, I was like, well, glad I got you on the line.
Now that you're calling, my car doesn't work.
Right.
So come on over here with the tow truck and a loaner. And,
Yeah.
Wow.
Funny how things kind of, yeah.
Yeah, but that's lucky. That's reverse Murphy's Law.
Yeah, but something bad had to happen before luck kicked in, right? I mean, I want to skip right over that and go to just the cool part. Like, I'm sitting there, maybe I'm eating, like, cashews or something. Minding my own business. Nothing's going on. Watching Merv on the TV, and next thing you know, someone calls and tells me I won the lottery. I want that to happen,
Yeah, but even then, though, your car breaks down and the garage happens to call you, and bingo, you got Insta repair, right?
Yeah.
But
and then beyond that, the dealer itself called. Like, are you happy with your vehicle? If you're not happy, we can get you in it.
Currently, right now, I am not happy because it doesn't work.
Right.
It's like, well, I mean, that's just, but see, to me, my car would break down.
Yeah.
And then the next thing that would happen is an engine would fall off a airliner flying over the house, and Donnie Darko style, like
that
right
blue
there.
Ice that just comes falling out of the sky, right? Yeah.
It wouldn't be like people calling me up going, "Hey, I anticipate you're having problems. I felt a disturbance in the force, and I thought I'd give you a call." No.
Yeah, it was really
my
odd.
life is Murphy squared.
Right, Murphy pie.
Yes.
Yeah, but everything is kind of weird that everything just kind of.
Was it the battery? Was the battery dead?
Alternator.
Oh, that's not good.
Close.
But that's always
close. But
because the other thing that happened in this time that we've been away, is the weather went from sunny, warm, 80s, 70s to monsoon overnight, and then that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And cold and everything. That just transitioned last week. And the thing is that when that happens, usually most people's cars break down. The battery goes or whatever.
Yeah.
because it's been summer, and then the car goes, oh, it's too cold. What can I do?
Not going to start.
I'm not going to start, you know.
Yeah.
So that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great last night. It's all cold and windy, kind of rainy, kind of hanging out. Yeah, and there's nothing that tickles me more on a Sunday night than watching the British House of Commons.
Oh, yeah.
I dig it. Prime Minister's questions, and I especially love the guy that just cracks me up the most. He's the speaker. Mm-hmm. And he's there with the rumpled, old, like black robe, and his hair is all askew. And he looks literally like a middle-aged Harry Potter that went to seed.
Let's you know what? Let's give the folks what we can do. We still have the mojo.
Yeah, with the mojo.
Right?
Yes.
Even though we've been away.
We got mojo.
We could give the folks a little House of Commons.
Let's do that.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Here are
but let me, Mr. Speaker,
funny
let
moments.
Me be very fair
the
to
House
the
of
right
Commons.
Gentleman. I followed very carefully his interview on Desert Island Discs, and I think it's fair to say he's no longer a follower of Marx. He's loving Engels instead.
Yay!
Stand up, sit down, stand up.
Here, her, I'm from.
I don't know what they're paying him, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
That's my favorite dude.
Yep, he's my favorite too. The speaker,
Order. Like you just want to walk into a room and go, order. Right? Anyway.
See, the really cool thing about that guy is he's always like, order, and then he goes,
okay.
And then he's like, listen, you need to breathe. Quit gesticulating, you know? Yeah, I love that guy, man.
Yeah, it's kind of comedy.
Yeah.
I mean,
but American politics is so tame compared.
I hate it.
It's awesome. These guys, they'll sit across from each other in the room.
Get it out.
Yeah,
and it's always stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down.
Right.
He's like, da. You want the Benny Hill music to play? The Bootsy, not
right.
Bootsy Collins. Rhapsody sax.
Yeah, but last night was even better because they focused on the backbenchers, the guys that never get to talk.
Now, are those the MPs? Or?
Yes, they're members of Parliament in the House of Commons.
Because there's no Lords. That's the House of Lords, right? The nobles.
The
and then
nobles.
There's
This is the House of Commons.
the MPs.
And
from the backwater.
It was backbenchers night on the
from Sheffield or something or
yeah.
whatever, right?
And there's always that one guy in like this, he's got like a tweed or something on, the English tweed,
Yeah.
And he's like from like someplace you've never heard of, like East Puddingshire or something like,
working class town.
Monty Twilby from, East Puddingshire.
Monty Twilby from East Puddingshire. What say you?
Yeah, this one guy was talking about sheep last night. The sheep situation, and and someplace I never even heard of. And they flash over to Theresa May, and she's the prime minister,
yes,
and she's like this. And this is a guy from her own party. She's just sitting there, and one eyebrow's like,
sheep.
Yeah, sheep.
Really? You want to talk sheep?
Well, the right
Have you heard
honorable
of this
lady.
thing called Brexit that I'm dealing with right now, and you want to talk sheep?
But like East Puddingshire, we got a sheep problem, Order.
Let the speaker talk about his sheep.
Oh, yeah. Once you see this, folks, when you tune in, like on a Sunday night after the football game's over or whatever, you will never, ever go back to Meet the Press again. Total pedestrian by that.
I've said it before. Meet the Press is not what it used to be since Tim Russert.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
really hasn't.
I like Chuck Todd, but Russert was huge shoes to fill, man.
Yeah. And don't get me started on Meet the Press. You think our video production is weird? Watch Meet the Press. It's always like, and I'm sorry, folks, but it's like, did you get an intern to direct that? I mean, as a video producer,
yes,
as someone who's watching a professionally produced NBC television show, and it's like they do weird camera angles. At one point, do they still have? Did you watch it lately? Because I haven't watched it. I can't watch it. Do they still have the people in the high chairs, like
they
little
do.
children?
They do.
Give them a bib.
They do.
Angela, whatever her name is, give her a little bib to talk about the Clintons or something. I mean, it just looks ridiculous. Like literally, there's this crane shot out, and everyone's sitting in this stupid like high chairs, and they look like idiots.
Well, I have a theory about that.
It's a bad shot. It's a bad design. We're talking about Meet the Press. Look at the old like Kennedy and stuff on Meet the Press.
Yes.
It's a desk, it's some mics, and they're talking. It's a news program. That's all you need. You don't need craning around the table and all this crap. Just put everyone's mug on the damn air and call it a news program. What the hell are you doing over there, NBC? And that will be my first rant of the day.
Well, see, I got a theory.
And that's
about
my
that.
review of Meet the Press.
Here's my theory: is that no matter how comfortable the chair is, it's impossible to look comfortable in a high chair.
Yeah,
it just is because you're all slunched, kind of hunched over. You're worried that if you fall, you got like 3 feet now. You're gonna drop.
And if you are a lady, in a skirt. This does not work so well as, some of the pundits come on, the women who are political pundits. There's a lot of them I like. Oh yeah, and it's like, I just wear the slacks or something because this does not look good at all. And the thing is the camera's like roaming around them, like, what are you doing? Is this perv the press or whatever? I mean, I don't know. It makes no sense to me.
Right?
Like, I've looked at this show since I think, is it Chuck Todd?
Chuck Todd.
It's since he has taken the show because there was, the late Tim Russert passed away suddenly. Like, I think he was like prepping for the show literally that day. And
he kind of just slumped over in his high chair.
Massive cardiac arrest. But anyway, so after that, was it the Dick Gregory, whatever that guy?
There's I call him the George Lazenby of Meet the Press because he was the guy that kind of filled in. Tough spot.
And then they unplugged him, and then they got Chuck Todd.
Unplugged it, right?
But the thing is as they've been going through this, it's like the producers are going, we got to do something here, right? Our numbers weren't as good for, and maybe their numbers are good now, but it's just like, and again, it's like this isn't Lord of the Rings, okay? It's a freaking news program.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what CNN does. What does CNN do? They call their news programs, with the, what's his name?
Jake Tapper?
No, not Tapper. Well, there's Anderson Cooper and the other guy.
Oh.
I can't remember his name. But anyway, and their shows...
Don Lemon.
Don Lemon. Thank you.
Yes.
It's Don Lemon.
Yes.
You watch, like, Don Lemon on CNN. What do? It's like 10 people in boxes, right?
Yes.
All yelling at each other, like the House of Commons. It's
right.
Like, and they're all in a little box. Like, here. It's like, there's Jason and Duck and, Don Lemon. And
Brady Bunch on crack. Everyone's yelling at each other in little boxes.
And the Don Lemon show. And it's like, this guy over here in the red box, he's a Nazi. This person over here is Jewish. This person's black.
Yeah.
Let the fun begin, folks. Let's scream at each other. Republican, Democrat, it's just like, it's ridiculous. But that goes over as a news show on CNN too.
Yes.
And it's like, and at some point, I think on the Don Lemon show, it's like, how many boxes can we get on that screen, right? And you just want to do Space Invaders with them. Here comes Andrea Mistral. Here comes Don Lemon. Here comes, what's that guy? They unplugged him from the show. The Trump guy. He was like a Trump guy. Kind of like, gray hair dude. He was on that show a lot. He was the Trump guy. And he and that other guy used to get into it. There's that guy and her and that person. That's all a bunch of crap. It's not news, folks.
It's all crap.
But to Meet the Press, though.
You're describing like Hollywood squares to me now. It's like these tiny squares and they're like just...
It is Hollywood Squares.
It is.
That's exactly what that show on CNN is. So we move from Meet the Press with the crane shots of people's skirts sitting in high chairs to CNN, which is Hollywood Squares. And you just want Paul Lynde in the center square.
Oh, yeah. Paul Lynde was awesome.
And Madam and...
I loved... Yeah, and Madam, then there's Rich Little, who's doing the cool...
Rich Little, and every time Don Lemon brings up Trump, Rich Little will come up and do a Trump, impression. Rich Little would just do an impression of whoever they're talking about.
Right.
Bill Clinton.
Richard Dawson is half sauced in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
And then you see, and they couldn't get Bing because Bing's A-list, so they had to get his brother Bob Crosby, the band leader.
No, that was Van Dyke. Remember? They couldn't get... Because Dick Van Dyke was... Jerry Van Dyke.
Yes.
So Dick Van Dyke would only show up, maybe on Carson or whatever, Dick Van Dyke. I mean, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Disney, the Dick Van Dyke show. Then he did murder shows or whatever.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
But you'd always be like, on Merv or whatever.
Yeah.
And it would be Jerry Van Dyke.
Jerry
It's
Van
like,
Dyke.
what do you do? Well, I'm Dick's brother, you know. But he like did an album or something and did like comedy, country music or something. He had some sort of career, but it was always like, what do you do? I'm Jerry Van Dyke. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's half in the bag over there. You know, he's him and.
That's what I always like when you have a celebrity. But they don't book the celebrity; they book their brother. Like we don't have Jimmy Carter here; we have Billy. You know,
right? Exactly right. But I always had a soft spot for Jerry Van Dyke though, because he always seemed like just a genuinely a nice guy. You know, like, hey, you're his brother. Come on, you know. It's like, what are you doing? Oh, nothing much, just crocheting. You know, how's your day going? You know,
he didn't have to do much because his brother was out there like on Broadway and Murder She Wrote or whatever his shows were, and he was the chimney sweep guy. And, you know, Mary Poppins, Song and Dance, the Dick Van Dyke Show. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm busy over here. Oh, and then he, didn't he like do a duck and cover commercials in the 70s about, no, it was like Dick Van Dyke. Yeah. No, he did something like in the 70s, all of a sudden Dick Van Dyke's on your TV going, hey kids, you know when you smell smoke, get down on the ground and don't touch the handle of the
roll.
Yeah, it was like some weird thing like that. I bet you I could find it.
Kids, not many know this, but when I was on the set of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, I was lit on fire 4 times. And so when you're lit on fire, what do? And all the kids in the background, stop, drop, and roll. That's right, kids. If you feel like you're burning, your flesh is burning, get on the ground and roll over.
I'm just
Dick Van Dyke.
sure
But if it's Dick Van Dyke, you're doing it anyways because, as any good child knows, you immediately do whatever Dick Van Dyke says.
Here it is, my friend.
You know? Here we go. Ooh.
Stop, drop, and roll.
There we go.
Hi there. I'm rolling because I want to show you what to do if your clothes ever catch on fire.
I did not hallucinate this.
Fire won't just burn your clothes. It'll burn you. So don't run. Don't stand up at all.
Dick
just
Van Dyke.
fall down and roll.
Fall down and
That
roll.
way it'll squash out the fire and save your skin. So remember, if your clothes ever catch on fire, roll, roll, roll your body.
Learn not to burn.
So kids, no, we just provided a public service to all you out there.
It's a PSA right
via
there.
Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Good advice when you catch on fire.
Right.
Which is funny because I saw a YouTube video this weekend where a guy pours a whole bunch of gasoline down a rock on his buddy who's gonna like skateboard down this.
Gosh.
I gotta find it. I saved it. It's perfect for Dick Van Dyke because he doesn't stop. This kid never. This moron, he kind of has a mullet. He must have never seen Dick Van Dyke because he runs off with literally with his pants on fire, and then his pants come down, and then his buddy's grabbing him. And someone said, "That's one way to get your pants off your buddy." If you know what I mean. Oh yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, I gotta find it.
Meanwhile, Bobby's got 3rd-degree burns and a really crappy disposition towards life.
It was one of those jackass moves, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, let's see, skateboard. This is what we're just gonna do. Skateboard, fire.
Friends don't cover their friends in napalm. Wow.
Yeah. There's. Oh, great. Okay. Apparently, Dick Van Dyke's message didn't get out because if you do skateboard fire, it's tons of skater lights himself on fire. Da, da, da. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah. You see, I blame the Jackass franchise.
Oh yeah.
Because they just started doing that sort of stuff. So everyone, of course, in America, we have to one up everybody, right? What You just jump through hoops of flames. What if you're on fire when you jump through the hoop? And then it just kind of goes off.
Well,
gets
this
worse
guy,
from there.
I can't find it, but they maybe it's saved in my Facebook. But literally, you see the guy pouring the gas down the rock, and then the guy's gonna go down, and then it just lights it up. And note to everyone: gasoline is highly flammable.
Yeah.
Why you don't see people coming up to your car going, "What can I get you? Regular?"
Right.
Oh man.
Right.
It's crazy out there.
It is crazy. And nowadays with technology, all the crazy stuff you would kind of hear mysteriously about now is on camera. You find it.
Yeah,
It's
no,
there.
and then some guy's filming it.
Right.
So it's so you're like, oh, you're just filming your buddy on fire running around. But literally the guy jumps off, his whole big like flare jeans are on fire. They come off down, he drops trow.
Yeah.
But see, here's what happens. Your jeans are on fire.
Yeah.
You drop trow. So now you got a flame around your ankles. So now you're waddling around with a flame around your ankles.
Yeah.
Jumping around like a jackrabbit. And then his buddy's trying to catch him to smother the fire out. So it ends up with his buddy kind of with his face in his underwear crotch, trying to like...
Yeah.
Oh.
And also, that's the bad thing, though, nowadays. I mean, the guy's on fire, but he's yelling, help, help, as the guy's just standing there filming it, you know? No, that's cool. I'll help you in a second.
No, yeah.
But, you know. Like,
That would be me. The guy filming it. I'd just be like,
yeah.
could you move to the right a little bit? Could you scream a little louder, please?
Yeah,
Look. I mean, you have to not be dumb, and you have to teach your kids.
It helps.
Don't be dumb.
Right.
Like we had Dick Van Dyke on there telling us not to be dumb. Hey, something happens. There's a fire, and he's rolling around. He's touched the door.
Yeah.
Don't touch the handle. Get down low. The smoke. You know, he's telling you all the stuff, and you're like,
Yes.
okay, let me take some notes on that. That's good to know. Good to know. May never have to use that information, but maybe I would.
Yeah, you got through a really you got through a childhood in the old days by two things: Dick Van Dyke and snarky parents. You know, like in nowadays, you know, a kid hurts themselves. Oh my gosh, you okay? We take you to urgent care or whatever. But in the old days, I mean, we used to like beat the crap out of each other, and then of course because we didn't listen to Dick Van Dyke, and so we roll inside the house, you know, and then your snarky parent just says, "Well, that's what's called natural selection." You know, and then, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I better be less stupid. Yeah, put down the flammable.
They used to teach you first aid.
Yeah,
Back
in
when
the
you were a
old days,
kid.
yeah.
And of course, you know, if you were like in, say, like the Boy Scouts organization or something,
Yep.
they teach you first aid. I mean, that was part of the deal. It's like, oh no, you got to get your first aid. You don't advance until, I mean, at some point you, in the Boy Scouts, you knew like, you're like 11 years old and you know advanced CPR and stuff. As soon as Grandpa has like a chicken bone, you're up there like reefing on him, slamming his back, and hey, kid, it's okay, you know.
You're waiting for a crisis to happen.
Exactly.
Grandpa looks like he's going to take off more than he can chew. You're on it, you
You're
know.
just locked and loaded, you know, at about 11. It's like, I'm a tenderfoot. Grandma, are you chucking? Are you chicken yet? Chicken yet? Here, have some more chicken with bone in it. I can't wait to do the Heimlich maneuver. Punch you right in the chest.
Yeah, feed him more of that meatloaf because he really can't chew anymore, so go for it, you know.
I mean, you're waiting. You're waiting. It's like, you know, and they go, oh, this is so bad.
But you can't drop it now. You got to follow through.
I got to go with it.
Okay.
They used to say, they used to do the thing with the CPR.
Yeah.
And I took the CPR classes all of when I was a kid, all the time.
Sure.
And scouts and all that. And so they'd say, well, you know, you make a fist and you compress down on someone's chest. And
Yeah.
as you pump their chest to get their heart going.
Yeah.
And they would always say, now don't worry if you break a few ribs in the process of your poor victim, the person you're trying to help.
Right. He'll
And I
thank
was
you
always
later.
like, you know, it's like, come on, I want to do some CPR. I want to crack some ribs. Yeah.
Right.
This is great.
Bobby's coming home with cracked ribs. Oh, you guys been practicing
Yeah.
too much, huh?
Look at me, I'm little John Gage. Woo, Rampart, yeah. Give me those paddles. Can you just plug some bare wires in? I'm going to zap this guy, right?
That's right. You know, I learned the other day that you can make zap paddles with ping pong paddles and duct tape. We can do this, you know.
At some point, Grandpa has fallen asleep on the couch
Yeah.
after, say, a turkey, you know,
We got
say,
tired out
Thanksgiving
from
dinner.
Yeah, he got tired out from choking on his meatloaf, and little Bobby's over there, you know.
Or just,
Don't walk into the light, you know.
Or just, he's just had a big turkey dinner
Yeah,
with all the trimmings.
all the trimmings.
Tryptophan.
Yeah,
He's taking his snooze, as you do,
Mm-hmm.
after a big meal.
yeah.
And so the kids are like, is he breathing? Is he breathing? Should we, like, do CPR? Should we go get a lamp cord? Let's put the leads on his chest and plug it in and see what happens. So in a minute, you've lit Grandpa up on fire. And he's like, what the hell is going on? You know?
And then when he's on fire, suddenly your Dick Van Dyke clicks in. Oh, yeah, Dick said drop.
Then you throw Grandpa down on the floor and roll him.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when you're in the Boy Scouts.
God, that's why they would never let me see Grandpa again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't.
Uh-huh.
Memories like the anyway.
You know, the Boy Scouts there's been so much, right? You can't just like take a week or two off here because there's so much news.
It keeps going.
And one of the news items was that the Boy Scouts had announced that there will be girls in the Boy Scouts.
They're being a little more ecumenical now, huh?
Yeah. There was a critical piece that was written about it, but...
so what happens to the Girl Scouts then?
Well, they're a separate organization. They're not... The Boy Scouts is its own organization.
Yeah.
And the Girl Scouts is a different...
Yeah, but won't they get mad that they're muscling in on our turf now?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's the Boy Scouts has had to get with the times.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Back in my day, maybe not so much, but get with the times. I mean, there's been other things, transgender and all sorts of things. You got to step it up.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So, I mean, if it makes the organization better, then
yeah. Well, I was just worried because if the Boy Scouts take girls, I'm worried about there being like a turf war because Girl Scouts, hey, you're now taking girls, now you're on our turf, and we have some sort of like West Side Story sort of cookie kerfuffle going on.
Well,
I don't know.
Those things happened before they ever accepted girls.
Oh, really? It preceded the.
Oh yeah. Camp Spirit Lake.
Oh.
Mount St. Helens.
Yeah.
It is
Harry Truman with
it's
that.
It's kind of there now. Spirit Lake. I was surprised to find out that Spirit Lake actually does exist now, because it pretty much was wiped away.
Yeah.
So there was a Boy Scout camp there. I had been to Spirit Lake, and the Boy Scout camp. Not but a year or so-ish before Mount St. Helens blew up.
Wow.
Like one of the last camps.
So you're talking circa 79, right? Because May 18th, 1980 was Mount St. Helens.
Around that. 78, 79.
Wow.
It might have been that that was the last camp, and then that next summer it was totally... that was when, remember, they shut everything down because there was the earthquakes happening. They're like, don't go.
Harry, get off the mountain.
Yeah, get off the mountain.
I'm not going nowhere.
Don't get on the mountain. Don't go to Spirit Lake because stuff's happening. So I think, it was the last camp. In fact, at some point, I got a mug, all that stuff.
Oh,
from cool. Stuff that doesn't exist anymore. But they had, so Spirit Lake was a pretty significant lake. It was beautiful. You'd go sailing.
Yeah.
And canoeing. We went sailing out there. And, all those things. And so there was a nice Boy Scout camp there, Spirit Lake. Mm-hmm. There was a Girl Scout camp across the way.
Uh-huh.
There was, I think, a YMCA, YWCA.
Y Indian Guides?
There was all kinds of camps around there.
And then there was...
so you just
who
go
else? If you
raids.
have the Boy Scout, the Brownies. You got to have the Brownies.
Go on raids.
Yeah. Oh, raid. Oh, tell me about these raids.
No.
Yeah?
No, it would be...
Top secret?
No, it would... I just remember one time we're out on the sailboat. We're like kind of strayed away from our camp.
Yeah. It's wherever the wind takes you.
Over into the Girl Scouts.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we were still in international waters, okay?
Right.
We're like China.
Right.
It's like, hey, this is still international waters.
Okay, gotcha.
Right?
Just passing by.
Yeah. Hi. Passing by, just waving. I mean, it wasn't that we didn't, but it would be like, hi.
Yeah, hey.
Boy Scouts in this boat. It was a guy with the microphone. Remember the microphone?
Yeah.
About the same time Dick Van Dyke was doing Stop Rock and Roll.
Are you talking
Mr. Microphone?
I love Mr. Microphone. We got to see if that's
can
we find something on Mr. Microphone? Right.
Describe it. It's a kid, and they're driving by in the car.
It took sexual harassment to a whole new level.
Oh, no.
I mean, before, you're just yelling at a car. Now you're like, hey, good looking. That's even in a commercial. There's sexual harassment in a commercial.
Oh, gosh, it's horrible. Here it is right here.
Yeah.
Hey, this Christmas party is getting a little too quiet. I think it's time we liven it up with my favorite Christmas gift, Mr. Microphone. Hey, what's that? Well, you set the dial on your FM radio and testing. Hey, I'm on the radio.
These kids are having a fabulous
Yeah, it was just like a low power radio FM transmitter and a mic.
Actually puts your voice
But
on
where's the
radio.
kid driving by?
There are no attaching wires.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. No.
Broadcast
Here
over any
it is.
FM car radio.
Hey, good looking. We'll be back to pick you up later.
Oh, my gosh.
See? It took sexual harassment to a whole new level. Hey,
It
good
gets
looking.
better.
Professional entertainers use Mr.
Sorry, it got
Microphone
better
for
because
rehearsing.
then there's a dude at the pool.
Use Mr. Microphone.
Okay, here's a lady. I've got a Mr. Microphone, and now I've got
Use Mr. Microphone
babes
for
at the pool.
rehearsing.
Nice.
Oh,
that is great.
Ronco. It was a Ronco product, of course.
Ron Perpeil.
Ron Popeil, a Ronco product.
Wow. Whatever happened to Ron Perpeil?
He was still doing info. He was like 90 years old.
Wow.
And on cable, doing commercials. I don't know if he's still around. Alexa, how old is Ron Popeil?
Ron Popeil is 82 years old.
There you go. 82 years old. Yeah, he was still going strong on those, on those QV. He was like, the QVC was made for this guy. This is the guy who started with the fishing thing. Like this, it's out there. And then he made a whole company of crap that he'd sell you. And you'd be like, by the time Ron was done with you, you'd buy a bucket of water from him. It'd be like, I think I need that Mr. Microphone now. Oh my gosh.
Right.
I could drive by in a convertible and harass people.
Floby, excellent. No, Mr. Microphone, because back then, it was just, FM radio, right? So when you saw this thing coming on TV, you're like, wow, I could get this microphone. I could be on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was bad.
Yeah.
I'm sure Harvey Weinstein got his start with the Mr. Microphone.
No, we could blame everything on Mr. Microphone. Hey,
That's
good
a lot
looking.
of
Be back
bad
later to
stuff.
pick you up. Wow.
But anyway, so there was that. So so we just kind of would be out in international waters in Spirit Lake. We had the map. Boy Scouts have maps. It's like, we're like in the bunker going, if we go here, we'll still be in international waters and float by the Girl Scouts. I like it, Hans.
See, I was never into Boy Scouts. Okay, so I have an outsider's point of view. So I always think you guys are like the Green Beret of kids' activities.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Like,
No,
so we're no longer just going to roll by. We're going to infiltrate at 0:30. We're 5 clicks in, and we're going to, next thing you know, there's a pillow fight erupting on.
No, it was some of that. It was some
Was
of that.
there? You got the face paint on, the glow in the walk.
After you terrorize Grandpa at Thanksgiving, trying to give him CPR for no reason, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, where do you move on?
Paramilitary actions in camps around you. It's Spirit Lake. What the hell?
Alpha
you got
1.
time on your hands. You're a kid.
Alpha 1 to Bravo 2.
Oh, yeah.
Infiltration in 3, 2, 1.
Why are you broadcasting this on your Mr. Microphone? You're telling the whole damn camp. They're listening to it in the mess hall.
Right. Hey, good luck, and we'll be rolling back in a few minutes.
It's so bad. It's so bad. That's just, it's terrible. But but in our defense, that was the year that I did the merit badge. Well, you always did a couple merit badges. I can't remember. But that was the year I did the survivalist merit badge. So
that's hardcore.
Yeah, so it was face paint and this root looks good. I mean, it's crazy. You're going out there like
you got to drink the deer's blood. It's the spirit of the deer.
I mean, you're Sylvester Stallone and Rambo. Like you got a knife and it's like,
first blood.
There's chasing a chipmunk. Right? You're like it's pretty funny.
Right.
You're making tea out of pine leaves.
And bark.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Who's the youngest here? If we don't get food tonight.
Who's the youngest? I'm not saying anything's going to happen, but Dennis may come up missing.
Yes,
I don't know.
Exactly. Just come back to the Scoutmaster. Dennis didn't make it. Didn't make it.
Yeah, it's always the tenderfoots. They're going down.
It's not personal. It's just business. He didn't make it.
So this brings up a question for me. Dude, but I digress. Does it mean that literally tenderfoots, the young newbies, are they like the red-shirted guys on Star Trek then? I mean, they're the Expendables?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, you bet.
Hi, Dennis. Welcome to the Boy Scouts.
Yeah. They're the front. You ever play chess, Jason?
Very crappily, but sure.
You know how you have like the back line and you've got like rooks and knights and queens and bishops?
Fodder.
And then what's up front?
Yeah.
A whole bunch of little pawns. That's pretty much the tenderfoots.
So you're saying little tenderfoots are the pawns?
It's like...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if a bear comes storming the troop, it's like...
You're shoving Dennis towards it.
Yeah, you're like...
Yeah.
You're expendable.
But then,
we have years in this service. You go. You just started.
It's natural selection. But the good thing is, though, at least you guys know CPR, so you're getting Dennis back. He's all right.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, kid. We'll resuscitate you. You're good.
Yeah. Part of being a tenderfoot is surviving your buddies doing CPR on you. Just on a whim, it's like, let's do CPR on Dennis. 10 guys pile on. See if you can crack his rib.
Right. So your kid's going home after a weekend, Dennis, hey, come here, buddy. How was your weekend? They told me not to walk into the light. Next thing.
Well, I mean, it's and then the Scoutmaster, what the hell are you doing? Practicing our CPR for our merit badge.
Okay.
Right, Cap? So it's like, okay. The kid's like,
So what were like the Scoutmasters like back then? Because I'm envisioning. Now you got me envisioning. They're like crusty old dudes who maybe they were drill instructors. Back in the day, I don't know, but they're like, "Hey kid, come here, I got something to show you." Next thing you know, Dennis, is he's slathered in honey. They're trying to bait bears now, and stuff's going, stuff's popping there, and
well, I mean, it's just
Camp Winnemucca.
Pretty much the Scoutmasters. It was kind of like a phrase we heard over this weekend. It was kind of like the Scoutmasters were out there getting away from the home life for a weekend.
The refuge.
It was the refuge, because they're like, like my dad was involved, and that's always good. I mean, that helps you. They always say your parents need. You don't just do it by yourself.
Yeah.
You have other Scoutmasters parents are supportive of any of your activities. If you're in sports, your scouts, your whatever. Maybe you're an ice skater from Clackamas. Anyway, make it to the Olympics. But
hold on, Tanya, can you hear me, Tanya? Okay.
Mom's calling. So I remember like people like my dad and the other Scoutmasters, and when they're out there, they're reminiscent about the time they were in boot camp in the Army. It's like, let's tie up some. I brought a tarp that I had in the Navy in '65.
And so Camp Winnemucca turns into Guadalcanal. Everything's like, kid, you don't know nothing. We're gonna, here's a trench tool for you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, it's really. It's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Here's my shovel. When we were in the bush in '64 as a technical advisor. Go ahead. I mean, you did, back then.
Hey, Tenderfoot, come here. You ever heard of Air America?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, okay.
I mean, you did back then. You some of your camp supplies and stuff. It was like surplus,
military surplus. Yeah.
I mean, it would be like, oh, here's some canvas bag. Look at that, U.S. military. And you're like, okay, cool. And then you hope that you didn't have the Vietnam vet dad. It was like all
some flashbacks.
It's like,
yeah.
But no, it was kind of like that. It was funny. I remember always like this one guy. He was kind of a goofball, but he was all right.
Yeah.
And his son and whatnot
kind of a goofball.
was in there. Yeah, I know. But he was a scoutmaster, but we were family friends and everything. And I remember doing the knots. We always did lots of knots. And he was a Navy guy. So it was always right, you'd have the scoutmaster. Well, you have one scoutmaster. The main guy.
He's
and
Eisenhower. He's the...
Yeah. And our scoutmaster was a friend. That thing just fell off right there. It's like, if my camera goes out in a second, it's because something just fell off. But our scoutmaster was a high school teacher. Like a shop teacher or whatever. So he was very handy. He dealt with kids all day. He was perfect to be a scoutmaster.
Yeah.
I, in fact, got my Eagle Scout with his son. We both got it. We happened to get it at the very same time. Like, we completed it.
Okay.
Same. So they were like, you could do a dual ceremony. Like, all right. We were having a lot of Eagle Scouts, which is unusual for a troop. You win awards because it's like, wow, your troop has a bunch of Eagle Scouts. That's real good, because that doesn't happen a lot. So then they go back in Texas, or the national people send your troop and your Scoutmaster awards going, nice job.
Right,
You have 5 Eagles and most have none,
Right. You're no longer what, Pac 272. You're now like Delta Company.
Yeah. You're like West Point or something. I don't know. But anyway, this guy, I remember doing the knots, and there's all kinds of knots you can learn. I mean, I know a few of them.
Sailors knot.
Yeah, and so I remember he was a sailor. He was like a CB, CBs, right?
Kind of like the engineers.
Yes, he was. See, my dad was a Corps of Engineers.
Army Corps of Engineers.
He was a CB. So they would
Navy,
trade stories, because he was the naval guy, and my dad didn't swim either, so he was definitely a
landlubber.
Landlubber.
Yeah, okay.
But it would be like, in the Corps we'd do this and this. And I was like, well, in the Seabees we'd float in and build a bridge, in the Philippines or something. You know, it would be that kind of a thing. But he knew, because he was in the Navy. They at that time they had to know all these knots. So this guy actually knew all these knots. He'd be like, nah, not so much. That bowline does not look pretty. It's not CB quality, So, I don't know.
Kid, I know everything from slip knots to Don knots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's the Boy Scouts.
Yeah,
which now girls in there. So they'll be doing knots and stuff. So I think what I read briefly, and again, I've been so busy that I've read things, forgot things. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in the news. I told Jason, I'm just coming out of this thing. Like in the little, they have the Cub Scouts.
Sure.
And interestingly enough, the Cub Scouts always, that's like the first Scouts, that was always, they would have a woman, the den mother.
Yes.
Would be in the Cub Scouts.
Yes.
And then there would be like a den dad who'd be assistant, but you'd have a den mother.
Yeah.
So that was that. But then when you graduated up into the Boy Scouts, then it's more like the Scout leaders, Scout boys, and
Use your
whatnot.
drill instructor at that point.
I think they had exceptions for women, like moms that could do stuff in the Scouts. But anyway, my understanding is when they'll have like these little Cub Scout packs, and they'll either be all girls, all boys, kind of segregated, I guess. But then later they'll have like integrate that into the Boy Scout. I keep saying Boy Scouts now, and it shouldn't even be Boy Scouts, just the Scout troop. And then maybe.
So you think they're gonna change the name from
Well, they did a long time
It's
ago.
just Scouts of
Yeah, like back in
America?
the 80s, late 70s, they did change it to like Scouts. But then I think it went back to Boy Scouts. It was kind of like I think it was in the 70s.
Boy Scouts
they
of
were
America.
Scouts. Then Reagan came online, all that stuff. And then it was like there's a Boy Scouts again. So I don't know. I haven't kept up. I think it went back and forth.
Okay.
But the Scouts, and then I think what they'll have is they'll have a troop, and then they have patrols in the troop. So I think the patrols would be like, okay, this patrol is the gals, and this patrol is the guys. And I think it's 21st century, folks.
See, I'm learning all the vernacular because when I hear different patrols, I think Charlie Company.
Yeah. Well, that's no, but that's how it's set up. You have
Echo Platoon.
You have a troop.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And you meet usually at some community place. Sure. We met at a school, middle school. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's church or whatever, community center. Sure. And you have the troop, and then you have a patrol in the troop. Gotcha. I mean, it's all set, yeah. And then you have the patrol. So it's like the mini things, and I can't remember how many people are in a patrol.
Okay.
It's like 6 or 8 or something, right? And then the senior guy becomes the senior patrol leader, so he's responsible for all these chucklehead scouts, right? And then he has an assistant, and then you do a lot of paperwork and a lot of typing. Radar!
Right.
I don't know. And knots.
Scouts are MASH? This is great.
It's
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, the best thing is if you... In my case, growing up in Oregon, untouched, now I know there's a lot of people here going to a lot of places, but at that time, very wilderness. And, if you're in the Boy Scouts and you're going out camping, you're hiking. I climbed Mount Hood once.
Wow.
In the Boy Scouts. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, it's kind of crazy.
Thing is, I think, and I'm not saying this to be like facetious or anything, but I literally think that I think kids today need more of that.
Yeah.
Rather than just the video games, whatever it is. Because there was a lot of useful things. I mean, think about it. There was a lot of useful things that you learned in the Scouts that you don't have today.
You learned life skills.
Yeah.
I mean, just let alone, I'm joking a lot, but the first aid.
Yeah.
Let alone,
indispensable. Right?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of need to know that. Your buddy falls off a bike, slices something, it's like, what do you do? Well, okay, I know I can handle this, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, someone's drowning or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of things you can learn, and it's not just that. You learn there's this thing that you learn about the government.
Like civics.
And it's pretty extensive. There were 3 merit badges worth of that. Wow. The community, the nation, and the world. And they each were like lots of studying. I mean, this is why people are like, wow, Eagle Scout. Yeah, it's like going to school all over again.
You're conversing with geopolitics then.
Yeah, summer school or something.
I think then we should have like some sort of Curmudgeon Scouts. We need to foster our own troop.
We're gonna get there. We got a lot.
We're like F troop.
We got a lot of things on our plate right now that need to happen soon. Seriously.
Yes.
like it's like, okay, now I'm done with this. But there was just a lot of things you learned.
Yeah.
About that. And the outdoors and all that. And conservation. Everything I learned about, like, conservation. Like,
Yeah.
Taking care of the natural, like
Good
the water.
Stewards. Yes.
And the forest and all that. And not starting forest fires. I learned all that in the Boy Scouts. I didn't learn that in the school.
See,
I mean, by the time I got to school, I was like, wow, man, just give me a pass. I know this stuff inside and out.
This is where we need the Scouts now. I mean, think about it. Back in our day, Scouts are, they're out there learning to harness the wild. They're out there learning valuable lessons and techniques to keep you alive or whatever, right? Nowadays, let's flash ahead, 2017, we got these guys lighting firecrackers in a forest that blow up the gorge. Had they been Scouts, this may not have happened.
Yeah.
So we need it.
Yeah,
more than ever.
Yeah, and that thing, I know that I haven't kept up. I heard last week that there was a they were charging the kid who started the fire with the fireworks, and a lady who lost her home was actually she was suggesting leniency, and she had lost her home. I gotta say, in all of that, where were the adults? Where were the parents? Where was their responsibility
14,
in all this?
15-year-old kids.
Yeah. Where was the supervision?
Well,
why aren't we talking to those responsible adults going, what the hell is your kid? But like you said, it's not like probably they're Boy Scouts or anything.
Right.
Watch, it'll turn out he was in the Boy Scouts. But no, I don't think so.
So then another question pops in my mind, because I just remembered, these kids are like 14, 15-year-old kids, right?
Yeah.
How in the heck did they get out there if they're too young to drive?
Yeah.
Where's mom and dad during this?
I know. I know.
Or the older brother, maybe
there
out there.
were more than there was a group of people, and yes, people had to drive. So I'm curious, kind of how that all played out, because it seems to me that someone needed to step in,
provide some quality parenting.
Yeah, I just have to catch up. Maybe I'll be a little more on top of things. I mean, we have. We have all this horrible crap going on in the news.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Last week was just talk about a huge... I can't say it on this fine broadcast. That it was a mess. And it just... Talk about... I think everyone did their best last week to literally jab each other with sticks to try to provoke. I mean, because between stuff going on in the White House and stuff going on out there as a result of that, it was a hard week last week. Holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, boy, there's a ton, there's the typical infighting and all this crap going on in politics.
Yeah.
The president and then everyone else. And it seems like, the GOP fights within themselves.
Oh,
I think the Democrats do the same thing, because you've got...
Sure.
Oh, my gosh.
Check out
Clinton people constantly going off on claims that are just like, really?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then you have the whole Hollywood thing. Everyone just...
That is blown up.
I know, I hate to say it, but there's the whole... People are like, was this a surprise? Hollywood, The
sad thing. Poor slightly off Corey Feldman has been saying this for the past 30 years,
that's
man.
What's come up. That's what's come up. And now people, what's her name? Barbara Walters got criticism for her interview.
The View. She was kind of harsh on the guy.
And it was like, and people are like, no, folks, this is Hollywood here.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you surprised?
Yeah.
You're more surprised that it never, it's taken this long.
Yeah.
And it gave me a time to reflect a little bit.
Doc's reflections.
I've never liked Ben Affleck. I really have never liked Ben Affleck. In fact, I was trying to think of a movie that I liked him in, and I think there's one Kevin Smith movie that it was like, that was a good movie.
Mallrats, Chasing Amy.
Chasing Amy. I think I like that one. I kind of like that. And it was like, Ben Affleck was in that. But this whole new Batman thing, it was like, oh, God. And I really have never liked Ben Affleck. Really. I saw that Argo thing, and I lived through that whole Iran conflict. I thought it was weak. I didn't, but I'm sorry, folks. I just have never been a Ben Affleck fan. I've never thought he was that talented.
You never been Affleck? No?
Nope. Never thought he was that talented.
You see, me too.
I was like, whatever, dude.
He did all right in Good Will Hunting. Of course, I think Damon made the movie.
That was maybe the other one that maybe, and I haven't seen those movies in so long.
Yeah.
But and I remember Chasing Amy I liked at the time.
Yeah.
It could suck now, but Kevin Smith, I kind of have it's like, I don't know, Kevin Smith, Now he says he's going to take all his Miramax money, all the money that he made on his stuff, because that was his
Weinstein,
company that funded all those, and this was the thing. They really funded all the indie cinema. The indie good movies, actual movies that people wanted to see, that weren't just like the crap we're watching now coming out of Hollywood, you know. Which new action figure can we make a movie of and regurgitate a plot? Well, and put tons of just slather on the CGI, right?
Yeah. You don't have to act anymore. It's just
yeah.
You know.
So I mean, they were responsible in the kind of 80s and 90s to really bring out
a lot of
good
mainstays
film.
now got their starts over at Miramax. Yeah.
And so, you know, so Kevin Smith, and so he says he's going to donate his money or whatever. It's like, all right, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel
I'm
bad
on the
for
fence with Kevin Smith, too, because I have liked some of his movies and whatnot. But then it's always been like, I don't know. You know, some of these bros kind of, you know.
I generally, when I've seen like interviews with Kevin Smith, to me, I mean, he seems like genuinely a pretty nice guy. I mean, he's not like the usual Hollywood, hey, let's do lunch, you know, sort of whatever.
Yeah,
Of course, he's been always treated more of an independent sort of outsider than the Richard Donners of the world. You know,
I just don't get the.
Yeah.
You know what?
Jay and the Silent
maybe I'll
Bobbish.
get into it on Friday.
Yeah.
But not now.
Okay.
I'm just like...
This is a Friday thing.
No, I mean, you just read this stuff and you're like, really? Really? A potted plant? Really? Who does that?
I got nothing.
Yeah, you're just like, huh?
Yeah, we can tackle everything from Mr. Microphone to Jerry Van Dyke, but that when he gets down there, it's like,
You're like, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
By invitation only.
Right.
But yeah, it's just there'll be more, and I think well, you were saying you just watched the Stranger Things.
Yes.
And the news over the weekend was one of the stars, child star, and left his agency because of things, and I was like, oh my gosh, horrible.
This thing has just blown up because
it's a rich and powerful, right?
It
just like
is.
Politics. It's always like, oh, there's the rich and powerful. They're untouchable. So the
thing that gets me is they've
richer you
known
are,
about this for years.
The more you can get away with it.
I mean,
you know, it's horrible.
now it's just an open secret.
Yeah.
If you knew about it, that's why a lot of these people, you know, the fake sort of, I had no idea. You know, it's like, yeah, you did. Everyone knew about it. Heck, people were joking on the Oscars about, you know, about how, hey,
Seth MacFarlane.
You're
Seth MacFarlane did.
Right. Yeah, now that you're in the running, you no longer have to worry about Harvey, Weinstein anymore.
And wasn't it like that was the first and last time Seth MacFarlane hosted the Oscars?
Yeah. I thought he was actually kind of funny, but
if he was hosting it
he
again.
teed off on a lot of insiders, and they didn't appreciate it. But
so then the other news that broke over the weekend, we had a big prominent tech guy. Same kind of a deal.
Yeah.
And this guy, he was kind of Mr. Social Media. Like from day one, he's written books, prominent blogger, podcaster, prominent guy. I would listen years ago when people couldn't spell or understand what a podcast was. Like I didn't even know. I was like, what is that? You need a pod from the Apple.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, and the podcast sounded like crap because they had to play on like one of these
flip
or if you were lucky enough to own the Apple iPod 1 or a computer. I mean, you were downloading this software. Oh, this Yahoo, does this software work? I mean, literally, like this was what you had to do to get a podcast. There wasn't any like Serial or Adam Carolla or anything like that. It was like a dude's talking on cell phones about like the coming social web and all that. And I listen to that because I'm a tech guy, or IT esoteric things about IT.
Sure.
And so I'd listen to that. And so I'd listen to this guy, and he was, a pundit and prominent guy. And it's really weird. It kind of came out. I did meet him a few years back at an event because I'd never met him, and I was like, oh, there he is. And in fact, we interviewed him. As a matter of fact, did a little hallway interview.
Yeah.
But it's bad. It's real bad. Same thing, You got these confabs and stuff in tech, and all this horrible stuff happens.
Yeah.
And and he this guy he kind of, let's see, a couple of years ago he stopped doing this stuff, and he said he was dealing with alcoholism. I mean, he's a blogger, he's out there.
Yeah.
And so then he's cleaning up his act. And then I think when we went to this conference, because we were doing some video stuff there, I think it was with his family and everything at the time too. But it was weird. So the stuff's coming out with that, and I read about that. So there's that. And again, it's kind of like Hollywood. Like, all these people are like, "Oh yeah, we saw that." It's like, oh man. Well, that's a bummer.
Moving on.
Yeah, I mean,
well, I know Jay-Z's not here, but quick sports news: Astros, Dodgers World Series.
Yeah, what's going on? So the Yankees didn't make it.
Yankees didn't make it. Yankees,
I was hoping.
Yankees went down in 7.
I was kind of. I wasn't watching it, but I was monitoring the scores, and I was kind of hoping for Yankees in there. So it's Astros,
Houston Astros,
and the Dodgers,
and LA Dodgers.
There you go, Dodgers.
I gotta tell you, I'm voting, and I know the Dodgers people are gonna get all angry, but I'm voting for the Astros.
Really?
Well, Houston got wiped in the hurricane season this year. It'd be kind of good to see the city get a nice boom.
But the Astros are doing well. I heard
Houston
they were
rocks,
really
man.
doing
They're
well.
really good.
Well, I mean, I was just happy because I was hearing the playoffs, and it's like, it's always like, I'm okay when it's names I grew up with, when I know, like the Cubs, the Yankees, the Dodgers. You're like, oh wow, actually, even the Astros too.
Yeah, Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
I showed one time my Nolan Ryan Astros card from when I was a kid. Got it. I think we determined it was worth a little something.
Yeah.
My Nolan Ryan.
Anything Nolan Ryan is worth a little something nowadays.
Yeah. So I grew up. That was when back Boy Scouts, baseball.
Right.
Apple pie in the American
Chevrolet.
flag.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I was kind of happy to hear that. Like when the Cubs went to, I actually had to watch that. It was like, I'm not even a baseball fan, and it was like, okay, hey, you want to watch the Cubs? Yes, I do. Got to watch this because right now I'm going to watch this, and I'm going to watch Back to the Future.
Right. And in the same year too, Marty McFly.
Oh yeah.
The Cubs
and
last
Biff
year
became president.
Biff.
Yeah. So
that is very. Oh my God!
Wasn't it Biff?
Biff is very. That is very true. Biff became president.
There was a lot written about the.
So were we?
Oh yeah. Now you're gonna ask.
Yeah. Are we living Back to the Future Part 2 right now? Is that what's going on?
I thought you were gonna ask the other question. Are we living in a simulation? Because that's what.
The Matrix.
Elon
Have the
Musk
red pill.
and all these people keep saying, it's like, yeah, we might be living in a computer simulation. Just look at. Well, okay, let's go ahead and let's address that.
Yeah. Okay.
I need the video. I need to pull the video up.
Okay.
But let's go ahead and address whether or not we're living in a simulation, because there are some times that, and I'm not saying we are, but I'm also not saying we're not.
Is it live or is it Memorex?
Well, let's for the sake of our show here, let's keep an open mind. Don't you think?
Yeah.
As investigators, like, what if we have a guest on who thinks we are, and they'd make the case?
Ooh.
We need an open mind, right?
Yeah, of course.
We can't just sit here and declare that no, we're not, or yes, we are, or whatever. We need. So there are things that happen that people who believe we're living in a simulation prove it. And one of those things happened just a few days ago.
Yeah?
During an NBA game. Did you see this video? Let's now you gotta like
stall for a minute.
Stretch. I got
NBA video. I'm like, wow.
The problem is I saved this stuff off.
Yeah.
And of course it's not here, but this hit the news. It was during a game. And I can describe what happened. The and I'm trying to think, was it, I want to say it's like LA, was it Clippers, Lakers? It was one of the teams. They were on offense or defense, I can't remember, but they literally changed the court and every player moved in synchronization, exactly the same steps, as if it was CGI and you had copied everyone on the court.
Wow.
I mean, this was a video. This was like, this hit the thing.
I did not see that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'm trying to NBA team moves. I want to play it for you.
Actually, it's quite fitting. I mean, if there is a
And people
Matrix,
said, there you go.
I would miss it. So I'm sometimes
See, I don't know.
oblivious.
It's going to be hard for me to find because I'm not sure how, and I can't remember the team. And of course, if I saved it, half the time, sometimes I'll save something on Facebook and then it doesn't get saved. But that's basically what happened. I wish I could find it for you. I mean, it hit all the airwaves. Go search. I'm not gonna. We'll sit here for the rest of the hour for me trying to search and find this thing.
Sure. Interesting.
You can do the search.
I'll take a look at that.
Maybe we'll bring it on Friday. But if you watch this video, you see, the ball, and then I think they're going back on defense, but I can't remember. One of the two, and all of a sudden, every player on the team turns. I mean, it looks like Busby Berkeley.
Yeah.
They turn.
Synchronized
and people even said
basketball.
it was the same foot. Maybe I saved it on the Twitter.
Wow.
I think I saw this on, I see a lot of news on Twitter.
Yeah.
And let me see if I happen to save it on Twitter. There is another sports story. No, I don't see it on Twitter. There is another sports story that we have to highlight.
Okay.
The Portland Thorns.
Yes.
Portland's women's professional soccer team, the Portland Thorns, won the championship. Just as, and it was a drag because I wanted to follow it, but I was busy too. But congrats to the Thorns. That is the second championship they've won. So we've got the Portland Thorns are repeat champions in the women's professional soccer league. They're good too. I've seen a Thorns game or two. They're real good. So.
Yeah. Is it too early to start talking dynasty? Because if you're repeating,
it's possible. It's possible. And there was this great Trailblazers. There was a great Jeff. I think it's just Lillard, who was actually watching the game and was like, "Yeah, you guys won," So he was like rooting for him there. It was really good.
Nice. Yeah, Portland Thorns.
So we've been gone when that happened. So that's
we missed
that's
a
good.
lot.
Well, and the same breath that the Thorns played the championship game, and I was busy. I didn't even see it on TV. The same when they took the championship.
Yeah,
it was also around the same day or two that the U.S. men's team got knocked out of qualifying for the World Series.
Yeah, beat by Panama.
Is that where we cue the Van Halen? It's like
Panama.
Is that actually? Yeah. I mean, if that's not Panama's national anthem by now, it should be. I mean, it should be. Come on. But the U.S.
Noriega's headbanging.
The U.S. got knocked out, and that hasn't happened. We've qualified for the World Cup for many, many years now.
Yeah,
and that was
a huge letdown. There is, of course, every now and again,
Mexico, that big game they beat the U.S. men's beat Mexico, and then they beat Jamaica.
Yep,
and these were like tough teams.
Yeah, people thought, wow, the men's, when they do get into the World Cup, they could make some serious waves this time.
In the last World Cup, they did pretty well.
Comes Panama. Yeah, they did.
So that
way
was
better than they thought they were going to do.
Huge bad news for sports missing the World Cup.
They're talking about cleaning house now.
By the way, the Thorns won the championship. It's like, it's okay. Yeah. Now, the Women's World Cup, U.S. is champions. We've done real well there.
Yeah.
In women's soccer, part of the reason why it's soccer and women's soccer is very strong here in Portland. Other than soccer overall is strong.
University of Portland.
University of Portland.
Yeah.
University of Portland Portland Pilots has had a very, very, very strong. I mean, we have strong soccer programs, period, but a very nationally recognized.
Yeah, they're the standard bearers.
Strong women's soccer, and I believe it was. Old Portland Timber, Clive Charles, I believe, who was one of the people instrumental as coach and head of that program that really brought that program up at the U of P, the Pilots. So, and that's where a lot of the champions, women's soccer champions, have come out of the University of Portland.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
And we got the Thorns now.
Yeah.
So I haven't checked to see how the Timbers were doing.
I got to do the dinger because we got to congratulate the Thorns.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I you know what? I have a Thorns flag from the I have.
Oh,
one.
the banner?
Yeah. Well, a few years ago, someone graciously gave me tickets, and my daughter and I went, and we had a really good time.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was great, and we were like, "Wow, they're really good." But just like the Timbers, though.
Yeah.
Yes, you can get tickets to the Thorns, but it's not, maybe a little easier than the Timbers, but still, they're champions, so they're selling it out. Yeah. I mean, it's and the story is that they want to expand the stadium again too. I don't know where we're at with that, but they want to put in more seats because they can sell more seats.
Right. They already, at least as far as Major League Soccer, compared to other stadiums around the country, Providence Park is they're one of the highest grossing for MLS.
Yeah.
So that's good. I mean, although I don't know how much you can expand there in that plot of land downtown Portland.
Like I said, I've been out of the loop, but Portland Timbers are on top of the Western Conference with the Seattle Sounders. Actually almost tied. I mean, they're in one slot, but tied points with Seattle Sounders, Vancouver, and Houston, and then Kansas City. So, pretty much the teams that we've seen this year. LA Galaxy is last in the table. Oh, how can they do that? But we've got to kind of get up on things. What other things happen? I mean, what hasn't happened? Good news. China.
Yes.
By the way, just a little note to you out there in Oak Grove.
Yeah.
China had this space station. Remember this big kind of skylight? They had their own space station.
Yes.
Because they're doing space too. They want to do space stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They put a rover on the moon.
Really?
Oh yeah. A while back, they roved around the moon.
Excellent.
So China's all about their space program.
Sure.
Like they are about a lot of stuff. And they had this space station out there. I can't remember what it was called. It was some long name. It's coming down. It's uncontrollable.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So. And they just wanted to note to people of Earth, our space station's coming down on Earth, and just want to let you know. And we can't control where it lands. So, and that's going to be coming down.
Could it be Oak Grove? Could it be crash in Oak Grove?
It could. Mm-hmm. It could crash anywhere. Now, because the majority of the Earth is covered in ocean, the probability is that it will land somewhere in water.
Chances are.
But
when
you don't, because a lot of times with satellites and stuff, when they decommission them and they do need to take them out of the orbit, and they still have enough fuel to control. There's actually a space graveyard, and I can't remember where they said it's at in the ocean. Which is great, environmental stuff, but it's where they like to park all the space junk when they can control it, and they drop it in this certain area in the ocean. So, everyone knows this is where we're dumping the space junk.
Marianas Trench.
Yeah. It's still in some trench. But unfortunately, sometimes the Chinese said we're not sure. I was listening to actually a space podcast. We're not sure if they lost communication or the fuel ran out or whatever, and I don't think the Chinese are saying, but they've lost kind of the control of this space station for quite some time.
Oh boy!
And what goes up always will come down. Earth will pull it back down. So that's toward the end of this year, early next year.
Space stations keep falling on my head.
So we might have some fireworks coming. Coming down, and usually most of it burns up in the atmosphere when it comes down. But something that big will drop.
Parts are coming through.
Parts will come through.
Yeah.
This reminds us, the U.S. did this once. U.S., our very first space station called Skylab.
Skylab. That's right. I always called Space Lab.
And we lost. Yes. We kind of lost control of that one too.
Careened.
And pieces ended up in Western Australia, I want to say, smashing down in Australia, and the Australians weren't too happy with us about that one.
Yeah.
It's like, hey guys. So, and boy, let's just say we don't ever want to lose control of that International Space Station because that thing's big.
Yeah.
Like as far as stuff orbiting, that's a pretty big one,
Yeah.
And so it's like they better like make sure like when that thing's got to go that they do something with it. Hopefully they keep it because it's a heck of an investment. Sort of like we lived in the house for 15, 20 years. Now we're just going to torch it.
On.
Well,
hopefully, I'm hoping the ISS just turns into like Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Right? It would.
Put in a quarks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get the Ferengis out there and heck yeah,
awesome.
Man. I'm there with it. But anyway, so I just wanted to alert everyone. If you're not worried about nuclear war, North Korea, or whatever, here's something extra for you to be anxious about: a space station coming down.
Yeah.
Again, the law of averages, it's going to land in the ocean. But again, the Skylab pieces ended up in Australia, so it's like
I've been such a mixed emotions about the space program, and don't get me wrong, I love what Elon Musk is doing, SpaceX.
Oh yeah,
huge
and
fan of that.
He's been launching. He's had successful launches and recoveries.
For a while
in the last few weeks, they've done some big launches, and they're getting ready to do the big one.
Yep,
the big truck.
See, I hope so, because I think, now maybe I'm just talking out of my hat here, but as I often do, but I think as far as where the space programs come to, I think we've been ripped off. Mm-hmm. I mean, heck, when we were growing up, we were promised the Jetsons. We saw Star Trek, Spock and everything. And what do we got now? I mean, the closest thing we got to anything is Elon Musk. He is our last best hope for some sort of... But I think we've been ripped off. I mean, we were promised Jetsons here, And now we got nothing.
I was gonna look. I looked up the Skylab thing because Skylab's demise was an international media event with merchandising of T-shirts and hats with bullseyes and a Skylab repellent with money-back guarantee.
Yeah.
Because we knew it was coming down. It was okay. So here's what happens when you don't have control, like you don't have jets and control to go, okay, I want it to orbit here and I want it to dump here. You can only predict. And the problem is the further out you are, because it's erratic and the atmosphere,
you never know.
And you don't know what the atmosphere, they can't do the calculations. Like they can't say right now, here's where it's going to land, because they don't know how, as this thing is coming down, how the atmosphere is going to affect its
angle
trajectory.
And speed only get you so far. When it hits that atmosphere, you never know.
And this is exactly what happened in Skylab. So a week before re-entry, I'm reading on the Wikipedia here, NASA forecasted that it would occur between July 10th and 14th, and with the 12th most likely the date. So they're like, it's going to happen around here. Yeah. And so like right now the Chinese are saying this is going to come down somewhere toward the end of the year, early next year, like I'm thinking December, January. Here, got you a Christmas present.
Happy New Year.
In the hours before the event, ground controllers adjusted Skylab's orientation to try and minimize the risk. So they act of re-entry on a populated area. So that suggests that they did have control, which I find weird.
Yeah.
Because they aimed the station at a spot 810 miles southeast of Cape Town, South Africa. The station did not burn up as fast as NASA expected due to 4% calculation error. It's rocket science.
Mm-hmm.
Due to 4% calculation error, so that's the problem. They were trying to get it to burn up. And landed about 300 miles southeast of Perth in Western Australia.
Yeah.
And was found between Esperance and Rawlina. Residents and an airline pilot saw dozens of colorful fireworks like flares as large pieces broke up in the atmosphere. The Shire of Esperance fined NASA $400 for littering. A fine, 400 Australian dollars for littering. That's what it said, 400. A fine which remained unpaid for 30 years.
That's right.
NASA's like, F you, we're NASA.
That's right. We're not cleaning up.
The fine was paid in April 2009.
That's right. Obama paid it.
When radio host Scott Barley of Highway Radio raised the funds from his morning show listeners and paid the fine on behalf of NASA.
I thought it was Obama.
No, this is some radio host.
Okay.
So it didn't hurt anyone, thank God, but it did land in Western Australia.
There you go.
And so we'll just do this all over again.
Right.
And you think back. Well, you think back to the horrible space shuttle.
Oh, Challenger, yeah.
That would be Columbia.
Columbia.
Yeah, the horrible space shuttle that re-entered, and that was some bad stuff. And that was, and that same situation. I mean, a lot of that stuff didn't made it to the ground.
Yeah.
So, that's we don't need to talk about that.
This Monday's turning into a downer, man.
Yeah, I know. What else we got? I'm trying to think of some good stuff that was happening. You know what? I got something good.
That's why I think our space thing.
Speaking of, well, like I said, Elon Musk, he's launched some stuff lately that all's been going, and now Elon. What does he have? He's got a car company, electric car, right? Yeah. Tesla, which a week or so ago, I got a picture. I saw one just at the Starbucks. The SUV. They got the gull-wing things. I don't know if I sent that to you, but I was like, hey, look what I saw at Starbucks.
You did. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, it was some ladies were loading the car, and it was like the gull-wings, and I go, and I thought, gull-wings, I looked closer, but I was thinking, at that time, I think that's that Tesla SUV.
Yeah.
Sure enough, it is.
If you're ever down in Macadam, they're in the South Waterfront. Yeah, that's where they've set up their dealership now, the Tesla dealership.
That must have been that because I was in Selwood.
Yeah,
across the river.
Yeah,
so
you pass. So
you see them around there. Yeah, I'm seeing them around on the street. So Tesla, they had this, and then they're trying to get them produce the new model, and they're having production problems. But that happens with new technology. And then
late last night, they looks like they struck a deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Chinese, Shanghai.
With Tesla.
Yep. And, I was about ready to pop off to bed, laying there, listening to the radio there, and that was one of the news items that that looks like Tesla has struck a deal with China, and they're trying to open up the Shanghai market. Because, and one thing
it's right here.
I did not know is the Chinese are huge into the electric cars.
Oh, yeah.
Huge. I didn't. I thought they were fossil fueling it, but no,
they need to be.
Right, yeah.
They're the ones that have the real pollution problem over there, folks. They
huge proponents.
They need no combustion engines over in China.
Yeah.
They need to go electric. Tesla strikes deal, the Wall Street Journal. Tesla strikes deal with Shanghai to build factory in China.
Yeah.
Arrangement could enable electric car maker to slash production costs. Firm will likely incur 25% import tariff. Now, the bad thing about this story is leading up to it, Elon fired, like, I want to say it's about 300 people here stateside in the Tesla.
Really?
Yeah, they did. Presumably, it sounded like because of performance and production problems and all that. That's kind of what I read into it. But yeah, that was big negative news for Musk and Tesla, is that they fired a bunch of the workforce after they kind of did performance reviews or whatever.
Well, I guess
but
they're
he's
gonna
got
have
that.
to. I guess they're gonna have to revamp it now.
Well, I think sounds like they're gonna do it in China.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way the Chinese work is so they want to sell Tesla in China. Huge market. They want electric cars. They need electric cars over there because of the pollution.
Yeah.
But here's what China does. Just like they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll take your cars. We'll buy your cars. And you'll be putting the manufacturing factory here, like for our economy, for our workers. They did this with high tech, with computer companies, chip companies, and all that. It's like you want to sell your computer chips and all that to China. They're like, hey, put in a factory over here, And so you do these deals. So that's a piece of it. If you're putting in a factory, then that opens up the market. It's how the Chinese work.
Right.
Their economy.
Yeah.
You don't just go in and sell stuff. They want to balance it with the manufacturing piece. But he's doing that. The SpaceX has been launching and landing stuff, and they're getting ready for their heavy. Then he's got this thing called the Boring Company. So that's the other one that people don't think about. But he's digging holes, and he's digging holes for that Hyperloop thing.
Oh yeah.
The sci-fi get from here, and he just got a contract, I want to say, from Maryland to dig some miles of holes down there in Maryland, Washington D.C. for the Hyperloop. So we'll see how that goes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was in the news. I obviously haven't checked the news recently, so I didn't see the Tesla thing. But
when we do like a tech update or Elon Musk, we should just call the segment Musk on Monday.
Yeah, that's right.
Musk on Monday.
Yeah,
this is your Musk.
The Boring Company is also located in Hawthorne, California, which is where SpaceX is located. Maryland governor announces support for Boring Company and Hyperloop from Baltimore to D.C.
There you go.
So that'll be the first thing. And this is
Hyperloop.
See, he's like sci-fi guy. He grew up on sci-fi, so he's got the rockets. He's got the electric cars. Yeah. These are all the stuff you have, Jerry Anderson and whatever. And then those things that you get in, you get in and close the doors and you're underground and it's like, right?
Yeah.
And then you're there.
So Elon Musk is going to give me my Jetsons then.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it now. Now I don't feel so ripped off.
But I like the idea of testing it on politicians.
Ooh.
What could go wrong? And we had a little accident. We lost a few Congress people.
Hyperloop?
Oh, we lost a few politicians and lobbyists in that accident.
It happens.
I sound like a terrible person. But anyway.
Come on.
But yeah. So Maryland, from Baltimore to D.C. Yeah. So that might be the first one. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. I'm not sure how, because the Boring Company is to build the tunnels. Remember that tunnel that they made here in Portland?
Yes.
We have the Max train, the West Side Max, and they found out, when they were going to put it in, they needed to bore a tunnel under the West Hills, under the zoo.
Right.
And it's several miles long. It was a heck of a project. It was take 10 years or 8.
Huge undertaking, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they get these giant... You ever see these things? These giant boring tools?
Yeah.
They just bring it in, and it's just kind of drills.
Yeah, I remember where the corner is now of, where McLaughlin and 17th is. Mm-hmm. Before, they laid down all of the Max construction, they were doing some drilling and some boring over there, and they had this huge, a monster huge tube. It was almost like sitting on the side of the road. And it's like, wow, they're going to be building this huge hole.
Yeah,
And,
that one is the one that they've been doing for this. We have this big
city,
sewer
right?
project.
Yeah.
It's for this giant sewer. Because here the problem
Mondo
is when
sewer.
it rains. Now I haven't checked up on that project. Is that thing done finally?
I don't know.
Basically, when it rains in Portland, the way the sewers work around here is they flood and then dump into the Willamette River.
Yeah.
Hence is why you never really want to go close to that river.
No.
Because it's basically a sewer, especially when it rains, like it's been raining. It all just runs off. So that's bad. EPA, all that stuff, bad. So they basically have been trying to create this sewer system where when everything runs off, it's like an underground river.
Gotcha.
And then you can do that. That was what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
I got a good one here, though. This is a good one.
Excellent.
I watched this last night.
Uh-huh.
And I think this is real good. Okay, and I think we need to talk about that. This is a philosophical dilemma, and it's a teachable philosophical.
Yeah, let me get my. I got to get my philosophical dilemma hat on.
Oh, you're gonna
let's change
hats.
Let's change hats.
There we go.
Philosophical dilemma.
Do you need
hat.
a pipe?
For good contemplation. I may need a pipe.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go. I'm ready.
Okay, so. You know, I gotta tell you, don't get mad at me, but you kind of look like a Bond villain.
Do I?
Yeah,
Sweet.
you look a little like. Just say this.
Yes.
I don't want you to talk. I want you to die.
I don't want you to talk. I want you to die. What do you think?
Yeah. Jason, do you like gold? Do you have a fetish for gold?
Gold member. That's Austin Powers. Goldfinger.
No, I guess I know what you and were watching this weekend.
I won't say I was, and I won't say I wasn't. Anyway.
So, philosophical dilemma.
Yes, dilemma.
And what do they say? This is actually it's a thing to introduce consequentialism versus deontology.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. Took me a second. It's a Monday, so it takes me a second for things to click in. But
yeah, I know. Me too. It's Monday morning, folks. It's called the trolley problem.
Okay.
You know what the trolley problem. You've heard this one.
Yes.
In the classic version of the trolley problem, a train is barreling down a track. Okay? At 5 people. There are 5 people on the track.
In my dream, it is.
The train is bearing down on them. The train will hit them and kill them. You're in the position to throw a switch. You know, it's a little switch back there, two tracks. You're in the position. You have the power to throw a switch, diverting the train to another track.
Okay.
Where it would only hit one person. Right? So here's your choice. Should you let the 5 people die or make an active choice to kill the one person? 5 versus 1. And then all of a sudden I hear like, you know, Wrath of Khan. It's like the many or the one.
Right.
Ship out
the
of
needs
danger.
Of the
Yeah. But that's basically yes. So basically 5 people are going to die. If you throw a switch, those 5 people are going to live. But you're going to kill one other person on the other track.
Right.
What do you do? See, it's a philosophical dilemma. Well, this psychology professor gave this dilemma to his 2-year-old son. And he had a unique perspective.
But he's a prodigy.
He had a unique perspective. This is on Vox, folks. So let's look at what a 2-year-old would do in this case.
Uh-oh, Nicholas. This train is going to crash into these 5 people. Should we move the train to go this way, or should we let it go that way? Which way should the train go?
So he moves the extra person over onto the track with the 5 people. And takes them all out.
The kill 'em all
Everyone
philosophy.
This is our future, folks.
Interesting.
Yes. Well, as Vox said, watch a 2-year-old solve one of philosophy's most famous moral dilemmas.
Yes.
I mean, I was kind of expecting more. Like maybe, this kid's brilliant. He's going to come up with something unique. It's
The
like,
child is a sage.
kill them all. No, just
Kill them all.
Yeah. Clearly, this is this is not feng shui enough of a moral. We need to move this other person on the track. Now we have 6 people, and we can kill them all.
Right.
Clearly, we want. I mean,
Wow. Yeah.
maybe
Wow.
I don't know. he doesn't have to do anything other than get the other person to move.
Yep, that child is going to grow up to be 2 great things.
You want the 2-year-old to turn to the camera and go to his dad and go, Schadenfreude.
Humanity sucks.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Well, anyway, so that was interesting. There was a kid, like a prodigy, and I saved this somewhere. Mm-hmm. And he actually was like talking about these philosophical things. He's like a little older, but the kid was like he's got this YouTube channel, and he's just constantly talking about philosophical things. And they asked him, "Do you think we're living in a simulation, the Matrix?" And he breaks it all down.
Yeah.
Not sure what kind of
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals that poor boy is on, but
That's what happens when you introduce little Johnny to ayahuasca. Mm-hmm. Hallucinogenics. He's
we do have a local thing that I really want to bring up, and it is a charitable thing, and it has to happen.
Can I take off my
Well, I kind of like it, but
Okay.
But yes, you can if you'd like.
Well, I just didn't want to, I didn't want to have my moral dilemma hat
Yeah, we'll
on for nothing.
We'll try to find something else. Okay. I've got film noir here too, so
Well, I'll leave it on.
Yeah,
If we're going noir, it's staying on.
But look at this! This is such good news. And this is fantastic. So there's this video store in Portland called Movie Madness.
Institution, yeah.
An institution, like films, out of print. They got videos, they got DVDs, they've got stuff you can't find. If there's that weird foreign film that you need to find, Movie Madness has it.
Yeah.
I found movies there that were like, okay, wow.
There was like a place like that in Selwood, wasn't there? I remember
Possibly,
off 17th.
But Movie Madness has been around for a couple decades or so, and just like I said, an institution. And they also have a lot of museum pieces. They got something from Gone with the Wind in there. They've got props and things that the guy bought. I mean, this guy was kind of in the Hollywood, did stuff in Hollywood, and then he set this place up, and just a film buff, just like do all this stuff. So he's exiting the business. Mike, I believe is his name. He's exiting the business.
We may need to get him
retiring.
on.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. He's been doing a lot of interviews right now. It would be great.
Yeah.
So what happened was, people wanted to save the business. And the Hollywood Theater, the historic Hollywood Theater, love the Hollywood Theater. I work with those folks there from time to time on events. They're a fantastic place. That is a nonprofit organization, and they play good movies. I was trying to go in and go see a couple movies that I wanted to see, and they were sold out. It's like, so I'm like, I just got to get a subscription and get tickets or whatever. But they have came together and said that they would like to buy out and take over Movie Madness. It's a great fit. Hollywood Theater, nonprofit theater celebrating cinema, and the Movie Madness. So they ran this Kickstarter. They said they needed $250,000 to do it. And I'm just looking at the update, and we would have talked about this. We would have said something. Had we been here actually doing this show, which we weren't, but the update of the Kickstarter, still you should donate. But update, we reached our goal in just 9 days.
Wow.
So it's time to move the goalpost. Let's raise $350,000, and we'll build a screening room. Ooh. Wow. So they had $250,000 pledged on Kickstarter. They have 262,510. If they raise it, they could do a screening room. Let me see what the okay, that's just the update, but I can show it here.
This
So
particular man has only one thing on his mind. Still here. Over 40,000 videos and 30,000 DVDs to rent. They're all mine.
So this is
Movie
actually
Madness has one of the largest video collections in the country.
This is the Kickstarter video.
Most of these films are not available online and never will be.
That's true.
The Hollywood Theater is in a unique position to save Movie Madness, save this collection, and keep it available to the public.
So anyway, I wanted to talk about this.
There's a story to be told.
This is Mike Clark. He was the owner and founder of it. Big movie buff. But it is a great place to go.
Into the
So I just wanted to show a little bit of that and highlight that. I know some people who ended up... It hit my Facebook in the middle of me doing all this stuff, and I was like, oh, and I think I shared it out, and I was like, hey, Movie Madness, this is great. Some people are doing this Kickstarter. It made Hollywood Theater. It made complete sense. I know, like I said, I know the people over there, and they're that whole nonprofit. They're just dedicated to movies, and they've renovated the theater. They've taken the money that they get in the nonprofit to keep upgrading the theater and making things nice, and they're nice people to work with too. I have to tell you.
Yeah.
You know, I've always had a good rapport. You know, going in there, and I roll in there with all sorts of equipment, and okay, we got to do this and this and this, and they're like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool. I'm glad that they found a way to save Movie Madness, and I'm glad it is the good folks over at the Hollywood Theater that are going to preserve and
and there are other not to pull anything away from the Hollywood Theater, but there are other independent theaters too, even around here, and I gotta tell you, that's my gig now. I'm kind of tired of the Cineplex stuff.
The cookie cutter sort of Regal Cinema.
Well, I didn't want to say the names.
But, sorry.
First of all, movies today aren't so good. But for example, another example, here's I found this one, and this one I'm really super interested in. Another great indie theater in Northwest Portland, Cinema 21.
Yes.
Well, guess what Cinema 21's doing?
Okay.
Well, you'll have to guess, because where is that? I love it. I love it when I share it, and then it's like, where was all the info in the link? Well, I can tell you. Culled together from an astounding Warner archive.
Okay.
Warner Brothers. 18 essential film noir classics span the year 1937 to 1965. Series is essentially an encyclopedia soiree of the film noir style. And I was trying to find... there was a list here, Cinema 21. It starts this weekend, Friday, and goes through next week. Robert Mitchum.
Oh,
There's a
Bobby Mitchum.
handful of Robert Mitchum films. Film noir. Big Sleep is going to be in there. I think that's one of the last. Big Sleep. I wish I could find the list. Maltese Falcon is not in that. I think it might just be a Warner Brothers.
With the Killers?
Sounds like. Well, Jason, if I could pull it up and find the list. Here's the details. Thank you, Doc.
Yes.
You know, it just doesn't work the way it's supposed to. It's like it's supposed to be at your fingertips, but you still have to click. Yeah. I mean, we got people out there listening, talking.
You should have asked who. She probably could have worked that.
I don't think so. Let's run it down.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
I'll run it down. We'll get you. You got your film. You got your hat on.
Yes.
See, we even got the fedora over here.
There you go. We're going full noir now. Yeah.
Friday, October 27th. That's this Friday. Murder My Sweet, 1944. Ooh. Stranger on the Third Floor, 1940. Yeah. Crossfire, 1947. Yes. Saturday, October 28th. When Strangers Marry, 1944. I don't know. That was Out of the Past, 1947, and On Dangerous Ground, 1951. Sure. Sunday. Proto-Noir Matinee, Marked Woman, Black Legion, The Locket, and Angel Face from 1953.
Angel Face, yes.
And then Monday on the 30th is The Letter, and Possessed, 1940 and 1947. And Tuesday, this one probably saw it, is The Big Sleep, 1946, and The Big Shot, 1942. And then Wednesday is The Underworld Story and The Phoenix City Story from 1950. I always love it when it's like the
they're digging deep
from the
now.
headlines, The Portland City Story, starring Max Blank as a kingpin.
Yeah,
and then Thursday,
they're digging deep. I thought for sure there's going to be like big. So they're going just from one studio then.
I think it said Warner Archives. So Thursday is Brainstorm from 1965 and Beyond a Reasonable Doubt 1956. So
right.
So that's cool. That's happening at Cinema 21. I mean, I don't know. I got to tell you, Jason. I mean, in these days of CGI and all this stuff.
Noir is kind of refreshing.
Man, it's like a blanket. Oh, can I just watch something with shadows and black and white that have like all these tropes and just like and drama, and the drama always in the music, the
Oh yeah.
I mean, the Maltese Falcon is one of my favorite top films of all time.
Let's see here. If we're going noir,
I mean, Sydney Greenstreet. Come on. Peter Lorre.
Asphalt Jungle.
Asphalt Jungle. Yes, that's a good one.
Peter Lorre. I mean, heck, even I mean, it's exotic, but it does have that noir feel. Casablanca.
Oh yes, very much so. Yeah, but there's so many of these other movies that like maybe you didn't catch or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's like
The Killers.
Is there like a film? Is there like a film noir site? Or I know there's like keep getting an ad for a site of classic movies that you can sign up for, but like a channel, like the Noir channel. I mean, because that would be the one where you're like, no, just.
I know Turner Classic Movies has a lot.
They do a lot of that.
They do a lot of noir.
Yeah.
Robert Osborne was pretty famous.
The late Robert Osborne
great
passed away, I think, earlier this year.
Yeah.
When we had mentioned that. Yeah.
About a year ago, and he was a big proponent and a big advocate of the noir sort of renaissance, so to speak, of that.
So I know, and the one movie that I've read the reviews and I've been interested to go see. I still haven't seen that new Alien movie yet. That's how
Covenant or something like that.
That's how interested I've been. Yeah. Saw the previews, read the reviews. I was like, I guess I'll catch this sometime.
Yeah.
And then when I'm in the mood, frankly, I don't know. The reviews weren't so helpful. Which it was kind of like, how much more do you do with this alien, right? It's popping out of your chest. It's
right.
Anyway, I mean, they were going with a whole new thread, and I'll watch it, but I've already read the reviews, and I was like, I don't think I'll like it. It's not, nothing's going to come close to those first two.
Yeah, see, that's...
The first two movies, the
that's
Alien,
why a lot
and
of
then
the
the
franchise
sequel.
ones I won't watch anymore.
Yeah.
Because I always compare them to the standard bearers.
Right.
And
right.
I don't want to be let down. See, that's why I'll be honest with you. That's why I'm scared as hell to watch Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
Because to me, it always goes. I think of the classics, of course, the original Star Trek. Then you have Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, the stuff that you think of when you think of the Star Trek franchise. And then because I've heard mixed messages about Discovery, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to see it because then it's going to sour me even more to see where this is going. So I don't know.
So I've been watching Star Trek Discovery.
Okay.
And you have to pay a subscription to CBS to do it.
Yes.
Which, by the way, let me get, there's a lot of negatives I can put out here. Number one negative I want to say is this. Mm-hmm. If you're paying for the streaming, don't make it look like crap. It really doesn't look good. It really, I'm like looking at this thing going, this stream is bad. And I'm watching it on the computer, on the Mac. I'm like, it's not like I'm watching it on my phone or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, Netflix looks great. YouTube looks great on this. And then it's like, I'm paying CBS? I mean, I stopped it at one point during a special effect, and it was all just like blocked out and everything. I'm like, guys.
Can do better than this.
So that's number one. So there's an issue there. I I have really been having a hard time with the Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
They had the free premiere, and then the second part of it that you had to go pay to see.
Suckered you in, buddy. Oh.
And it was like the pre-story to the show. And then it was like, and it had like Michelle Yeoh in it, which was like, hey, Michelle Yeoh, that's great. Yeah, Star Trek. Yeah. And it was like, but she's not really a star of the show. Mm-hmm. You know, she's not really in it. And there were problems with that. I have to tell you, the opening, the prequel episode that they tried to get you in on, and they did a whole bunch of like lens flare and stuff, which they seemed to stop. Then they stopped later doing it, which I was like, thank you. So at first it looked like those movies with all the lens flare, and then they stopped doing it. And I was like, okay, thanks for stop doing that. Good choices, because we don't need lens flare every 5 seconds. But it was kind of like, I felt ripped off because it was like this prequel. Yeah. Like on Deep Space Nine or whatever, that would have been at best an hour opening episode of the show. Like the Deep Space Nine opening, I thought was one of the stronger beginnings of any Star Trek. I mean, that really set up what was going on, and it opened in such a, like, the first 5 minutes were some of the coolest and scariest and saddest 5 minutes of a Star Trek show ever was the opening of Deep Space Nine. You really knew what this guy's deal was after 5 minutes. It was like,
a lot deeper than just what you would expect, you know. And
that's what they're trying to do with Discovery. I get it, but they could have compacted it a lot more. And so here's what's happening now. Now that they've gotten into the show, they keep doing callbacks to what you've already seen. Like they keep going, oh, and remember your backstory is yada, yada, yada. It's like, guys, we've already watched it. We don't need you to tell us what the back... If you wanted to do that, why did you waste time making the backstory in the first place? You could have just said it. I mean, there's certain things in filmmaking where you can show the backstory, or you can just mention it's like, well, the reason he's got missing a leg is because the dog bit it off. Gotcha. All you need to know. Oh, you know, and maybe later that'll be important, like when he encounters a poodle and runs away in fear. Oh, we know this because we heard he got his leg bit off, right? Oh. So anyway, so they've been doing that. So that's kind of annoying. Yeah. So I've been watching the episodes. They actually have the Discovery ship. They actually have the captain. They actually have the cast now. It's taken all this time to just assemble the cast, and that happens in Star Trek too. And here's the thing that I've been about the Star Trek Discovery is that I know as a Star Trek fan, I remember when The Next Generation came on the air. Mm-hmm. It took time to get into it. Yeah. I mean, people forget. We think about now Star Trek The Next Generation as this beloved show, which it is. Captain Picard, Geordi LaForge, Data, Riker, Deanna Troi, you know, Worf, right? I mean, it's a great show. There were great stories, and we loved it, you know. Not when it started, because when it started, all we had was Kirk, Spock, and the Enterprise, and the classic phasers, and what we had experienced before. Yeah. So this whole... In the 1980s, this whole Star Trek The Next Generation was like, whoa, this is new, you know? And it took a while to get into it. Yeah, the special effects were way better. But the cast, do you like this captain? Do you like these people? Yeah. You know, there's a Klingon on the bridge now. Do we like him? Right, I mean, it took like a season or two for that to suss out to the point where it was like, okay, this show's good. Yeah. All right? Yeah. Deep Space Nine was kind of the same way. The first season or so of Deep Space Nine is like, and I think people have said about the time you get into season 3-ish is where stuff really goes down, and then it's Deep Space Nine. Yeah. I mean, there's the Dominion War and the Klingons. There's a lot of stuff that goes down in Star Trek lore in that show, you know. And plus, I like it because what's his name? Avery Brooks goes bald with the goatee. It's like, yeah, he's a big fan of his acting. I mean, I thought he was tremendous in Deep Space Nine. Avery Brooks is a fantastic actor, and there were stories, you know, you can say, no, you don't like Deep Space. Watch this episode. Watch this. If you like good drama, It's real good. So anyway, so I'm like, I got to give this a chance, right? And it's updated for 2017 with special effects, with the cast. It's been real dark. My big criticism is I've been trying to go through and I've been trying to find elements to snatch onto that are Star Trek elements.
Yeah.
Whatever they are, fandom. Like what is this that's making it Star Trek?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've been missing that. I've been grabbing at straws. Yeah, sure, they got uniforms. Sure, they got a spaceship.
Right.
But where is the stuff that goes, I'm watching Star Trek.
Yeah, universal Star Trek tropes that oh, okay, this is Star Trek.
As opposed to, I'm just watching a sci-fi show.
Yeah.
Right? And so as I've been watching this Discovery, each of the episodes, I've been like, I'm watching a sci-fi show. It's like watching the reboot of Battlestar Galactica or something. I'm not connecting with this being Star Trek.
Yeah.
And that's really been bothering me. Last night was episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
It is the first episode that I have finally connected a Star Trek to, where it's now this long. I actually was like, okay, I kind of do like this episode now.
Yeah.
And the cast is making sense with this story that you're presenting me in this episode. I believe it's episode 6. We're into 6. A couple of the episodes, 4 or 5, we were getting close, but still no cigar. But this, I'm happy to say, because I was ready on Monday to get on my Facebook. Yeah, pull the plug. The patient's got, Yeah. I mean, it got like last week. It was like, oh, what's on Sunday? The new Star Trek and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see the next Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Right. Yeah.
Like when you used to go and watch a Star Trek and get into a Star Trek, it's like you couldn't wait for the next episode. It's like, Star Trek's on, click, we got to watch, and now you're online.
That's right.
That has not been happening with me. And you can say, "Oh, you're an old fan." Get it. And look, I got into the J.J. Abrams movies and stuff. I'm Star Trek flexible. It's okay.
Star Trek flexible.
Yeah.
There you go.
But it's like the new Star Wars stuff, right? Even the prequels, which a lot of people who grew up with the original Star Trek, you watch the prequels and you're like, oh, but it was still a Star Wars.
Yeah.
What did you have? You had a Force. Mm-hmm. You had a lightsabers. You had the Jedi. You had the bad guys. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You still had that.
You had Ewan McGregor, too.
But you still could point to even the prequels and say, this is a Star Wars.
Right.
It may look different, but it's still a Star Wars.
Right.
Right? All the movies that Star Trek has done, all of these other spin-off shows, you could still point and say, this is a Star Trek.
Yes.
Right? There's these things that, certain things. I mean, I don't know, the Federation, the Klingons, the Vulcans, the this and the that.
Yeah.
And even, people hated Enterprise. And it's funny because, you know what's happening? This show is actually a bunch of backstory for this show is coming right out of Enterprise. I didn't hate Enterprise. It was different. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people didn't like it because it was like, oh, it doesn't feel like Star Trek. It was like, no, but the Star Trek's still there. It's just about how they got to where they're going. Gotcha. And so this show is doing that too. They've been pulling from the Enterprise stuff. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so there was a bunch of Vulcan stuff. And it actually even, I mean, again, I'm not quite the super fan that certain people do quoting certain things, but
yeah.
I went, and there's even part of the backstory for this episode that's directly related to an incident that happened in Enterprise.
Really?
They directly are calling back to things. Yeah. Which is stuff we never knew until Enterprise.
Yeah.
And it's about Vulcans, You always think of the Vulcans as just running around, hey, we're Vulcans. Everyone is a Vulcan. Everyone's a logic.
Yeah, we didn't get much Vulcan backstory.
You do in Enterprise.
Okay.
To get a lot of stuff about the Vulcans, and they're not exactly all that they seem back in the early days. Yeah.
So there's some Vulcan noir going on.
There is.
Excellent.
And they're doing this in Discovery, and that's okay too. Okay. And so they were actually calling up stuff that actually is Star Trek, and comes from what they call the canon, the lore of Star Trek. And it was like, okay, you know? And then characters are doing stuff that maybe is like crappy or whatever, but you're like, I get it. I know why they're doing this, you know? So, yeah, it was kind of, you know, and it's got, they're also, because it's earlier, you know, because everything's action-packed and violent these days, you know, like the big criticism of The Next Generation back in the day was that it was an hour of talking, right? Picard. And
he was the verbal assassin.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Kirk is there. He's just, you know, screw it, no talking. We're gonna rock, you know.
Yeah. I mean, no, it was like talking's over now.
Picard, you know.
Yeah. It would be like, don't ever tell Scotty that the Enterprise is a garbage scow. Just
right.
Don't, okay.
Yeah, don't do it.
Those Scottish whiskey infused fists will start planting on your Klingon face, you know.
It's been known to get his dander up. Yeah, Scotty's pretty touchy.
But yeah, I mean, Star Trek has that out of the six, that rough and tumble.
Yeah.
It was a Western kind of in space, right? And at some point there'd be a shootout or a punch out in a bar or whatever. And so, you know, that back in the 60s, they were kind of riffing off that.
And Kirk was the prototypical man of action.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. No, he talked. People think of him like that, but if you actually watch a lot of the Star Treks, he talks a lot.
Sure.
He has those famous Kirk, William Shatner soliloquies.
Right.
When we came up, you know. But it was action packed, and the criticism of The Next Generation was that like there's action, but you know Picard's talking for 5 minutes here in his British
overthinking
accent,
you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you get when a Shakespearean actor, though.
But you know, it met its stride.
Yeah.
And so I think now, like with the movies and the revival and the Discovery, it's the same thing. They want to get back to that the action-packed, you know. So in these last episodes, we've had the captain of the Discovery. He's already been in fist fights with the Klingons and shootouts and whatnot, like the old Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, it's kind of a throwback. So, anyway, my review this week is finally I felt something
connected
that this is now a Star Trek, and I'm hoping that I'll feel that way for the next episodes.
Gotcha.
So there you go. So, and I almost feel like just like a Star Trek, it's like, yeah, I don't know if you need. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure you have to watch all the previous stuff. You just got to kind of watch a thing. There was this side story about their ship and the science thing on it, and there's going to be something about that pops up later.
Yeah.
But it was kind of just, as George Bush would say, paraphrase in a PG way, that was some weird crap. I mean, really. And it was kind of like...
Or like a kid from South Park. Yeah, that's effed up right there.
Yeah,
you know?
No, it was kind of like... It was like... And again, it was like, this isn't feeling... Star Trek has the science, but then it... Yeah. I don't know. It just... kind of didn't work for me.
Gotcha.
But I know... I already sense I know where they're going with it, and it's going to be a plot point. Okay. They've already asked. People have looked at this and seen how dark it is, and it's a war. It's about the Klingon... It's about them actually having a war with the Klingons that actually was in the backstory of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Before the neutral zone. Before that's what came...
Star Trek's version of the DMZ.
Well, yeah, when we meet Kirk and Spock in the 1960s, in the first Star Trek, there's a Romulan neutral zone and there's a Klingon neutral zone, and you are led to believe that there was a war and then there was a DMZ, and then the Federation is trying to do their thing and the Klingons are trying to push their thing, and every once in a while they'll land on a planet, maybe with dilithium crystals, and meet up, and things don't go well because, it's like a Cold War thing, and since the show was begun in the Cold War, there's a lot about that.
Right, sure.
And then the very last movie of the original Star Trek, they make the final piece. That's what the whole undiscovered country is about.
Right.
Is the final piece between the Klingons and, Welcome to the Star Trek podcast.
That's right.
I'm Doc Nerd. Actually, in episode 6 of the original series, when Kirk had the phaser, he was using the Christopher Pike phaser and not the actual... No, I know, it's so bad. We should... I watch fandom podcasts. I actually watch guys... I watch these guys called Trek Yards.
Okay.
And they review the Discovery. And they're also doing the Orville, too.
Nice,
and it's just two guys like us going through the episode, chatting what they liked. A lot of their focus in their YouTube is about the reason it's called Trek Yards is they also do, and I don't watch so much of those, but they talk about different ships and stuff and designs, and these guys are like real Trek. I mean, they belong to like Starfleet organizations, and they have rank and all that. It's those kind of people, right? That would go to a con. I don't do that. I find it fascinating, but I find it fascinating when people go to that extreme, right? Like when we went to Comic-Con.
Yes.
We met people like that, the Star Wars people.
The very devoted.
And then the Star Trek people who were next to the Star Wars people. And I happened to, on this video, because it pops up in suggestions when I watch Star Trek, is your interviews with those people. And what does Jason do? What do you think Jason would do at a Comic-Con when he's interviewing people? Star Trek person here, Star Wars person here. What do you think Jason wants to do? Start a fight.
Well,
no,
right.
That's you.
It all goes back to West Side Story. You got
That's exactly what you did. In the interview. You literally tried to start this skirmish between the Star Trek people and the Star Wars people. We can't take you anywhere, man.
Stuff happens.
Is this what how your family describes you, Jason? Is we can't take him anywhere?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
Those are funny videos. We should.
Before we get out of here, I got a show for you to check out.
Okay.
There are 4 or 5 episodes in. It's on it's an HBO, brand new HBO series.
Oh no, really?
You're gonna love this. It's called The Deuce.
The Deuce.
The Deuce. It stars James Franco, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh yeah,
David Krumholtz. It talk about noir. Okay, it's like a gritty. It's gritty, 70s, or it's like 1971 New York City, Times Square, gritty. George Pelicanos. He's one of the executive producers.
I gotta check that out,
and it's brilliant.
That's my thing.
It is, and it's great.
Yeah, I love. In addition to the film noir, I like those cop New York City gritty cop movies from the early to mid 70s. I mean, there was all the French Connection stuff, the 7
Popeye
Ups.
Doyle, yeah.
Also the black, the Shaft and all those flicks, and then you had to TV was like Starsky and Hutch and all that. I love that whole
Hill Street Blues,
gritty New York, cop shows.
This is gritty New York.
Nice. It's a throwback.
It is, and I got to tell you, James Franco to me has been hit and miss. Brilliant in this, brilliant. And
what's it called again?
The Deuce.
The Deuce. Okay.
Yeah, it's they got.
Now is he a cop or is he?
No, he's a bartender.
Oh, okay.
He's a bartender, and
is there a PI?
Well, not really. It's the story of this guy. He's tending bar. And his life is kind of in flux. So because of the laws during that time in New York City about decency and other stuff, there was a time where New York City, they threw all of that stuff out, and it was almost the Wild West down in the streets of New York.
Actually famous.
Mob comes in because they know that there's money to be made, and you got the pimps,
it's the pawn shops. It was the porn shop that it's basically what Giuliani ended up cleaning up in the 80s.
That's right.
And famously, there's actually been some movies documentary.
Yes,
documentary about the movie Deep Throat.
Yep,
a porn film.
Yep, Linda Lovelace.
And the reason, you may be like, no, but the subtext of that film, porn movie, is how it changed decency laws and free speech laws.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like Supreme Court level free speech.
They deal with some of that.
And this is also, if you think of Lenny Bruce.
Yes.
Doing his stand-up in the 60s. He got arrested for indecency. A
couple times.
Yeah. Jim Morrison, famously, got arrested indecency on stage. I mean, cops would sit there and wait.
Yep.
You know, for someone to just maybe pop off the F-bomb or something into, you know, this is Richard Pryor and people like that. This was like the moral
comedy was
cops.
Dangerous back then. But,
well, what would happen?
Yeah.
I know a little bit about this too with the like jazz musicians. There's this thing called the cabaret license that you had. And I don't know if this show will talk about it, but that is your license to perform in New York. And I don't know if it applies now or whatever, but back in the day, you didn't perform, and if you did something wrong, if you had drug problems or if you're indecency, they'd pull your license, and then you couldn't get a job.
Yeah,
and that's how they kind of exerted the pressure on
Right. So just watch The Deuce. Very cool show.
Sounds like right up my alley, and interesting historical context
and you
as
get
well.
the feels. I love shows that give you great feel of it.
Yes.
It isn't guys just reciting their lines or whatever.
Right.
I mean,
The visuals,
you are hip deep in the streets of Times Square in 1971, and it's just fantastic, man.
But
I'm a huge fan of Pelicanos, right? Because he's that early 70s noirish, real nitty gritty, dirty, and he brings it off.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. Gyllenhaal too, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
I thought she was all right because I'm not a big fan of her brother, but
no, she's great.
She is, she's fabulous in it, and I got hooked. I hooked my wife on it. It's a great show. You know?
Wow.
So I can't recommend it enough.
And it's just started. It's a few.
Just started.
All right.
We're about four or five episodes in now.
I know.
And it's brilliant. I was like, wow.
I do try to limit my TV watching.
Yeah.
Like I don't. This is the problem why I'm like not Game of Thrones and all this stuff. It's like, hey, don't have time for this,
Right.
But that does sound up my alley.
Oh, it's you would dig it. It's really good. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say too, I still have on my list, and it was supposed to happen a few weeks ago, but got busy, to see that new Blade Runner movie, which is still out here playing.
2049.
It's getting. I've read some negative reviews, but mostly I've read good things. And the negative stuff was it moves too slow. And me, Mr. Curmudgeon guy, I'm like, half the movies that come out of Hollywood are like, what is all this lens flare and action, stop, action. And it's like, come on, guys, give me something.
No, really, Blade Runner, take your time. It's cool.
Oh, speaking of which, we haven't. You got a little that.
Yes.
We missed your birthday even the last time we were here.
Right, yeah.
It was your birthday, and like that was a best kept secret. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't even checked Facebook. But there's your...
I'm allergic to mornings.
There's your new coffee mug.
Turns out it's true.
You know what? I saw that at the store. I said, we need this on the show for Jason, right?
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
Anyway, we're glad to be back.
Excellent, yeah.
So we'll be back Wednesday.
Yep, I got a great. This is a theme. This Turning Left is, instead of just topical, what happened in the news. I dig deep on like a theme, a trope, and I know Sir Richard has something kind of along that lines too. That's just a little different, and so I actually think it's going to pull off well. I think it's going to be pretty good.
All right,
and then of course Friday we're back.
We'll be back on Friday. We will.
And then I'm cooking up something special for next Monday, because it's going to be the Halloween sort of thing. So I
know. See, I'm not.
I'm already thinking I'm cooking.
Yeah, Again, I've been so inundated. It's like Halloween. We got special things to show on Halloween as well. We
got stuff crack-a-lacking.
Hey, every year the Monster Mash.
Oh, it's
Right? It's coming.
I now really right now.
It's
I wish
coming.
it was next Monday. Right now.
Well, maybe we'll do a preview on Friday.
Oh, maybe just a little because you got to whet the appetite. But
you know what happened in the last year? It was remixed and remastered for 2017. The Gold Criterion Collection, taken from the original tapes. No, it really is.
Yeah.
Like taken from the original tapes and the original
director's cut,
audio master.
Excellent.
Remastered, recut in HD digital from the original tapes.
Fantastic.
Yes, so there's like a nice new pristine digital copy of the Monster Mash.
This is going to be good.
Wrap. So
stick with us, folks. This is going to be good. Stay tuned.
Yeah. All right, everybody, have a good week. Take care. Good luck. Fingers crossed. Make it to Halloween, and Halloween will be good. And we'll see you on Wednesday, and we'll see you on Friday.
I'm gonna make myself a cup of Good Morning America. Y'all want some? It's the best damn coffee you're gonna get anywhere, buddy.